Next week we have Liz Carmouche fighting Juliana Velasquez for the Bellator Flyweight title at Bellator 278 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Liz, as usual, is very prepared, very game, in shape. The game plan is good. Now it's just a matter of getting out there and executing, becoming the new Bellator Flyweight Champion.
What's going on, people? We are here. This is episode 10 of the Luxury and Mayhem podcast. As usual, I got to take some time to thank you guys, the followers, the subscribers, for rocking with us so tough. We are now at like 114 subscribers, so we broke the 100 subscriber mark. Thank you. That means so much to us. We are on our way to 500 because you guys broke the 100 mark so fast. I'm going to give you a higher goal. I know you can hit it. 500 is where we at. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button in the corner. Hit the notification bell so you get all of the notifications when we upload new content and bring you these beasts in the industry. And we appreciate you. So with that being said, today we are blessed to have in studio the man, the myth, the legend. I like to refer to him as Dr. Oz, the man behind the curtain that you don't see, that pulls all the strings, that makes all the magic happen. If you don't know who I'm talking about, this is Coach Chuck, otherwise known as Charles Martinez. What's going on, Coach? How you doing today?
I don't know if I can live up to that, honestly. That's where we're starting from? I don't know.
I think that's I thought that was a pretty fair assessment.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, you're like a little mini celebrity in the game.
San Diego MMA community, yeah. The San Diego MMA community is small, and I got here in 2009. The community wasn't as big as it is now, and local shows were kind of sporadic, and then I ended up at the arena, and that's where we made our bones. I made my bones at the arena. Yeah?
My first introduction to you was at a couple of the Epic events. I would watch the walkouts as I was getting familiar with the scene. I was watching the walkouts, and you were like in everybody's corner. And I'm like, who is this guy? And then as I started, jumping into the social media, I started seeing a lot of your clips popping up on different people's pages for your striking and your combinations and stuff. And then I just got fully tuned into it. And I was like, okay, this guy is one of the premier guys out here for striking and combinations and just like an offensive game.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate that. I actually the posting on social media is like it's my nightmare scenario. But I started doing that just a year and a half ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you're up to 20,000 subscribers now.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
No. It's good. It's been good. I was going to put out instructional DVDs, right? I like teaching. Teaching is the only thing that I like to do. When it comes to conveying martial arts information, that's what I like to do. I like to organize it. I like to put things into series. I like to make everyone I like to be a little smarter about the game.
Okay.
Being tough is relatively easy, but I'm
gotta have IQ.
Yeah, I'm a nerd about this shit. So I've been doing martial arts a long time, and I want to see how can we get this information to them as efficiently as possible, as well as possible for each individual person, because they're all different.
And for people to be able to understand on every level.
Yeah, and I knew that I was going to put out these instructionals, so I started posting on social media a year before I started putting out instructionals.
Wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
I started, I spoke to someone, I saw that they had built a following, and, they were reels, that's where it's at.
Okay.
These short form videos, and that's hard for me because I like to
really
explain
go
things.
far. Yeah, go
I like
depth.
to explain things, so to get enough content in that video that it's this is actually helpful was difficult for me. And then so I started for a couple months, and then I would go to an event, and 3 different people would be like, hey, man, I saw that video. It was really cool.
Okay.
And I was like, all
So
right, thanks. All right, thanks, cool. But then I saw it enough times. I got that feedback enough times that I was like, oh, people are actually watching, and they are actually yeah, I make that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, it is consumable in that form. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll keep doing it.
I think with today's technology, and our attention spans are a lot shorter, right? So giving the people just, the little 2 to 3 minutes, you may feel like I'm missing so much, but they're like, okay, I just needed that one little piece right now. That's all I needed to let me just work on that one little piece he showed me, and I'll go watch the rest of his clips and pick up anything else, right?
And I had to just rectify that with myself, because I've been watching instructional videos since they were on VHS, Ooh. So I've been watching instructional videos a long time.
Show my age right now.
So I don't watch them all the way straight through. I watch a part, I reflect on that part, I take notes, and then I go and I try it, and then I come back. So I was like, all right, well, that is basically what we're doing.
Okay.
We're consuming in these small forms just things that like that speak to you.
Got it.
Because not everything speaks to everybody.
True.
You know,
it's very true.
So some things people are like, oh, I love that, and some other things it just misses.
Yeah, it's like I didn't need that.
Like,
yeah.
all right, well, that's
cool.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You just want to get it out there as many people as you can and let them filter through it and figure out what they need and what they don't need. Yeah. And that's good. You're a nice resource. So let's start from the beginning. Where are you from originally?
Queens.
Queens. Yep. Okay. I should have had Jeff here. Jeff, sorry, buddy. I know you're my New Yorker, but he's not here today. So what was that like growing up in Queens? What are you, Martinez, do you have
Cuban.
Latino descent? You have Cuban?
I'm Cuban.
Okay.
Both my parents were born in Cuba.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, both my parents were born in Cuba. My mother came here very young. Mm-hmm. She escaped when Castro took over.
Wow.
So like the night that this is going to sound like I'm lying, but I'm not lying. Right? The night that Castro took over, my mother's family left Cuba.
Wow.
Because my great-grandfather was president-elect of Cuba. So Cuba was it was a free country, but it was really like a half-assed dictatorship under Batista. Because Batista was a criminal, and he was down with like the American mafia. Wow. So part of what like if you go back and look, there's a couple really good books on it. Lucky Luciano and Maya Lansky were trying to build basically Vegas offshore in Cuba.
Yeah,
and so that was like control. So they had the government control.
Yeah, they had full control.
So Batista had been president, and then he basically became like a behind the scenes, like playing the strings.
Got it.
So my great grandfather was down with Batista. Wow. So he won the election, and that's like during the whole like revolution with Castro and Che Guevara. Mm-hmm. So when they came in, like when they finally came out of the hills into Havana, my mother's family left Cuba, like that night. Because they weren't going to stay past that night. They were going to kill them.
Yeah. They already knew what was going on.
Yeah. So my mother was born in Cuba, but she left young. My father left a little older. My father was in his early 20s when he escaped, and he escaped like on a raft.
And they both ended up meeting each other in Queens.
Meeting up on an airplane. They were on an airplane to Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
On the same night?
No, they just
on a secondary later meeting.
Yeah, just later on in life, they were on an airplane together, and that's how I ended up here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, interesting. I think kind of interesting childhood. Like, it was Queens, so certain things weren't very good. Certain things were bad. I in retrospect, I didn't really realize how poor and bad things were. But my father was a criminal.
Okay.
Got murdered. When I was 5, my mother, I went half crazy. I had a brother who was 6 months old, so we all ended up living at my grandmother's house.
Okay.
So it was my grandmother, my great-grandmother, me, my little brother, my uncle, my 2 aunts. I think that's it. And my mother in and out periodically. Then one aunt,
this
left.
Is all
she
in the same
in an
apartment
in Queens. Yeah, 3-bedroom apartment in Queens. Yeah,
man.
At least we had the 3 bedrooms. A lot of people didn't have that.
Well, I mean, but it may sound like it might have been a bad situation, but there's a lot of love, a lot of family in that. You know what I mean?
It was
which is a good trade-off,
We had
right?
good holidays. We had good dinners. So that's why I didn't really realize I'm poor. Because everybody around me was poor.
Poor,
so,
yeah.
The
whole building is poor.
Yeah, we're all poor,
This is normal.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And then I didn't do martial arts growing up. I played baseball.
Play baseball?
Yeah, baseball was my thing.
Okay.
From when I was 5 until I was in high school.
Now, you a Yankees fan or you
I was technically a Mets fan.
You're a Mets fan.
Yeah, because I lived walking distance to Shea Stadium, and it was the 80s. So Mets were good in the 80s. 86 Mets, I was there. All right. I was there. We were outside the stadium when the 86 Mets won.
Man.
Yeah, didn't have tickets or anything, but we were there.
That's all you need.
Just outside.
That's all you need. None of the Iraqis, the Chaldeans and El Cajon were for the World Cup, but they sure came out in mass the other night when Iraq. Shout out to Iraq for winning the FIFA, the World Cup. Man, that's crazy. Okay, so were you a good kid growing up? Craziness or in the streets?
I was not very good. I was not a very good kid. I was smart. I was always in gifted classes and this and that. And then I don't know. I just wasn't a good kid, man. I didn't like the rules. I was good at home. I was smart. I was smart enough to know when
Minority
and where.
Families catch that belt.
I was smart enough to know when and where. And then I was good for the most part until junior high school. Okay. Which
started to venture out.
How bad are you gonna be in the 4th grade? You're terrible if you're bad in the 4th grade. But I just didn't like school. I thought it was too easy. It bored me.
Okay.
And then, I was living with my grandmother and great-grandmother. They both died. So I'm back with my mother now.
Okay.
And now I'm on the train every day, riding the train to go to school.
Yeah, this is
like,
stupid.
I didn't go to like my zoned high school because their baseball team was terrible. And it was a shitty school. It was just a shitty school. Everybody I knew who was like a criminal went to that high school.
Got it.
You know, everyone that sold crack was going to the same.
So you
high
had
school.
enough. You had enough foresight to say, "Hey, I don't want to be there."
Yeah, it was not going to turn out good.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to go to a place that was a better school, and I went. So I traveled to go to a different school.
What school did you end up going to?
Benjamin Cardozo High School in Bayside. So Bayside is like a nice part of Queens.
Okay.
So it's very suburban, very nice. They had a real good baseball team. So that's what I did. I went, every morning by myself, since freshman year of high school, took my bag and I got on the bus. And then sophomore year, I got on the train to the bus. Junior year, I got on 2 trains to a bus.
Damn.
Just to get to high school.
Dedicated.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't go to class. I just hang out in front, hang out in front and then be like, oh, I got to do baseball later.
Practice.
I got to do baseball later.
I'm here for practice.
Yeah, so then I ended up, I graduated. I almost didn't graduate. And then I ended up going to Syracuse for a year. My aunt went to Syracuse.
Okay.
So, she helped me get into college. She filled out all my paperwork.
Play ball there?
No.
Okay.
I said I didn't do anything at Syracuse. That's why I was only there for a year. I didn't go to school. All I did was party and cause problems.
How old were you then? 19, 20?
18. I was 18. And I was in a place I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
My friends were all still at home partying. So I ended up in Syracuse, and then they kicked me right out of Syracuse.
Yeah, didn't make it 2 semesters. It was gone.
Yeah, I made it 2 semesters, and by that summer, they were like, listen, you could not return here. And I remember one of the deans being like, or whoever it was that was like, keep your dumb ass away from this school. She was like, go to community college and, build up some credits and come back. And I was like, cool, I'm never going to do that.
She's like, yeah, cool,
I'm never
cool
going to
now.
do that. So then I went home and that was like a wild time. Like I was just kicked out of college.
Kind of lost.
I was like, oh, I'm back. I'm home. Let's party.
Yep.
So then I got into like a near death experience and ended up joining the Navy.
Gotta elaborate on that one. What happened?
I was out. I have I'll go out and party and I'll drive myself home. I'm not the smartest.
Okay.
Right? Not the smartest person. And this story again is like, I was coming home. I dropped off my boy. He's like, yo, you want to stay? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm going home. And then I just kept like falling asleep and waking up. I'm just driving. Like at one point I was at the airport. Like I was at the airport. I don't know how I got to the airport.
No flights coming in.
I was just like, I'm at the airport. I was like, oh, all right. I woke up, I fall asleep, I wake up again. I'm outside the car peeing. Just peeing on on a tree. And then I'm trying to this is ridiculous, I know. I'm trying to get back in the car and I'm hitting the button and the door's not unlocking, but that car, the lights are going off. But I'm just dead set that this is the car. How could this? And then finally I walk over to the other car. I'm like, oh, this is the car.
This is
and
my
I get
car.
my drunk ass back in the car, and I start driving again, and I fall asleep again, and I wake up, and I'm going fast, and now the sun is up. Right? So I'm like,
wow.
I'm going fast. I look down. It's like I'm going 100 miles an hour, and I remember being like, damn, you're going fast. And I look up, there's a car in the left lane, car in the middle lane, so I go in the right lane to pass because I'm going faster than everybody. Yeah. And the car in the front of the car in the middle lane gets over.
Bam.
So now it's car here, side of the road. And I just locked the wheel. I start spinning.
Of
course. I was going 100 when I started spinning, so it was a Honda Prelude. That's the only reason probably I didn't flip.
Really low to
really
the
low
ground.
to the ground.
Yeah.
We start spinning. It's just me in the car, no seatbelt. And I remember I straightened the car out, and I was like at an overpass. And I'm just pointed at the overpass, and I just remember going like, oh, I'm dead. Hit the wall, bounce off the wall, jump out of the car. I'm like,
I'm alive.
I look in the mirror. It's like, not a scratch. There wasn't a scratch on me. I get back in the car's still running, and I had hit the wall so hard that the dashboard was closer to me.
Wow.
So I bent the frame of the car. That car never worked again.
Of course.
I bent the frame of the car, and the car's still running, and I was like, trying to put the seat back. I was like,
something's not right.
I was like, damn, I fucked this car up. The front like an accordion, right? Like the front of the car like an accordion, right? So I'm like, all right, well, I drive myself home. And again, it's like a Friday morning. It's not my car. It's my mother's car. I just got kicked out of college.
Oh, yeah, this ain't good.
And my mother's getting ready for work.
Cuban mother, too?
Yeah.
This ain't good.
So I walk in, and I can hear, it's like 6 in the morning. I can hear her like, are you just getting home? And I'm like, all right.
Barely.
I'm just going to tell her, explain it to her. I'm like, just act sober.
But you're completely,
sober, right?
You're
so
completely lit right now.
Smashed. Yeah, smashed, right?
Trying to act sober.
Act sober. This is like the dumbest shit. So I go to open the door to her room, and there's tile in the hallway and there's carpet in her room. I open the door and I trip on the carpet. And I just look at her, and she's just getting ready, and she just looks at me. And I go, I crashed the car, but don't worry. I'm fine.
She's like,
she goes, what? And I crashed the car. Don't worry. I'm fine. And she walks to the front window, looks out, sees the front of the car, and just starts swinging at me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She's just swinging at me, and I'm covering. I grab her hands, put her hands together, and I'm like, listen, going to sleep. Just be mad later.
Just be
shove her out of the room, close the door.
Coach Chuck's mediation.
I was like, just, you're going to be mad later. You're going to be mad either way. Just let me sleep. And then I joined the Navy.
So she let you live.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's mother's love.
I got out, I got out of the house.
I'm pretty sure that was an expedited departure.
Yeah, I got out of the house, and that was like right at the beginning of July. And I remember I went to the recruiter, and I was like, all right. They're like, when do you want to leave? I was like, October. Why? I was like, I want to finish up this summer.
He said, I'm trying.
They were like, are you sure?
This summer.
They were like, you told, like, I was like, listen, I got to get out of New York.
But I need
not
3
before
more
the
months.
end of the summer.
Yeah, I need 3 more months.
And it was, things were wild. Like, we were going out to
this
bars.
This is the 90s.
Yeah, we were fighting constantly.
Awesome. Yeah.
Things were hectic. So I just wanted to get out of New York. I knew I was not going to turn out good.
No.
So I just got out of New York.
Why the Navy?
My buddy was in the Navy.
Okay.
A buddy of mine joined the Navy before me, and it was the only, I was like, it's the only one I know about. So he was in Orlando, and he went to Nuke School. Nuke School is like the hard school in the Navy, right?
Yes,
so
it is. Got to have high scores on the ASVAB to even get offered.
Yeah, so I went, took my ASVAB, and then they offered me Nuke School. I went to Nuke School. Mm-hmm. I scored super high in my ASVAB.
Of course.
And then I went to Nuke School, and in Orlando, a bunch of my friends from New York moved down there while I was there. Like, so I got kicked out of Nuke School, just like I got kicked out of college.
So my friends moved down, then I got kicked out.
My son's mother moved down there, so she got pregnant. Right, so I ended up with a pregnant girlfriend who I ended up marrying, and I was like, oh shit, I'm 20, I'm about to have a kid, and that's when I was like, oh, I got to settle down right now.
I got to really start taking stuff serious.
And then I settled down. I had already volunteered to go to submarines, so they were like, hey, here's the race you can pick, and I was like, that one. And that's where I ended up. I went from there to Groton, Connecticut submarine school, and then I went to Bangor, Washington, and I spent the rest of my Navy career in Bangor.
So I appreciate your service. Thank you for your service, first off. I got offered Nuke School. Turned that down. My friends had already told me, don't go to Nuke School. It's an extra enlistment.
I should have turned it down. Like, it's 6 years.
It sucks. Yeah, it's like it's not going to be cool. So I ended up going air crew SAR, becoming a SAR swimmer. But the submariners. Yeah. Submariners is a different class of people. They're always looked at really different. Yeah, because anyone who chooses to be underwater, lost in the ocean for 6 months with no sunlight is a different breed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird.
What was that like?
I was a Trident guy. I was a Trident submarine guy, so we were only gone for 3 months. Okay. So the Tridents, because they're missile boats, that was my job. I was a missile tech. Okay. Right, so working on the submarine launched nuclear missiles.
So you're actually working on the bad boys. Whew.
Yeah, that was my job. Yeah, and I was good at that job. Like I wasn't good at being in the Navy.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't good at that. Yeah. But I was good at my job, so which saved me. Because I was
able to get away with a little stuff.
I would while out and scream at somebody, and I'd be like, "All right, then fuck it, I won't do the maintenance." And they'd be like, "Hold on,
wait,
hold on, we need you to do the maintenance." Like I'd be like, "Disqualify me." I was always trying to get disqualified watches and shit. Like, disqualify me then. Like, all right, hold on, calm down. Nobody needs to get disqualified. But so we had 2 different crews, blue crew, gold crew. So like just because those boats are like a strategic deterrent, correct, and they want someone to be covering target packages at all times.
All the time. Yep.
So we'd go out to sea for 2.5, 3 months, come back. Both crews fix the boat for a month. Then the other crew takes it out to sea, and then you're an off crew. So all your schooling and all that stuff. So your schedule pretty cool. Your schedule's pretty well laid out. All right. You don't get to go anywhere very cool.
Yeah,
like you don't get to pull into foreign countries and shit. Like I only pulled in basically. I was a West Coast guy, so I pulled into Hawaii, San Diego, and then my first patrol, it was like the best patrol ever. We went through the Panama Canal. Oh man! And then we launched test missiles. So that's something most people don't get to do.
That even ever do, yeah.
So that was my first patrol. So we went through the Panama Canal. I got dolphins. We launched missiles. I did a swim call. I jumped off the side of the submarine, and that was all my first patrol. Damn. And I was like, this is what it's like. This shit's going to be fun, man. I was like, this is going to be the most fun. And everybody was like, this is not what it's like. This is not what it's like. And I was like, you guys been complaining about nothing. This is easy. And then that was my last good patrol. After that, they all sucked.
They all sucked.
But I was only, the longest one I did was 84.
That's not bad.
And we pulled in for like a day and a half on that one. Longest I did door to door was 77. And that was 77, still not too bad. Submerged, came back. It was easy.
That's not too bad.
Once you're qualified, it's easy.
It's
like
easy.
once you got dolphins and you're qualified your watches, like just reading books and doing push-ups.
They're just so Marvel advanced. They're just I've never been on the sub. I never got a chance to actually get on one. So like just figuring out how they navigate. No, it's just a cool piece of machinery.
It really is, yeah. And when like getting my dolphins, it was like you're getting a check on every single system on the boat.
On everything.
So I'm just sitting there reading tech manuals, and be like, damn, this is really cool.
Yeah,
like it's really cool. It is
yeah.
cool how it works. So I did enjoy that. I mean, shore duty, I did the same thing for shore duty. So I was at a support command for basically pulling missiles on and off submarines. So
Easy
I was
stuff.
always in the same community. I was always surrounded by the same people. So I liked that.
Awesome.
And I had started training martial arts in '96. So like basically '96 to '99, a little choppy. I was joining the Navy. I was I was kind of all over the place. And then '99, I started training pretty steadily from '99 to 2001. And then like MMA, I could truly say I started doing MMA in 2003.
Now, what piqued your interest in '96 to start martial arts?
UFC.
UFC. That was your first introduction into martial arts?
I watched UFC 1.
Okay.
I mean, I was a kid in the '80s, so I had seen every kung fu movie.
Yeah,
every Bruce Lee movie, every Van Damme movie, Steven Seagal movie, and then I watched UFC 1 when it happened. Okay. I remember walking into my boy's house and he was like, "Yo, some tall dude just kicked this fat motherfucker's tooth out." Like that was what he said, and I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yo, this shit is for real."
Let me see that.
He's like, "They're really fighting." I was like, "All right, let's see what we're talking about
real.
here."
They really fighting.
And that was like David Talluia, whatever, got his tooth kicked out at UFC 1, and I was like, "Oh, this is the shit."
Hooked.
Like this is the shit. Why are we not doing this?
But there's no place to train for this at that time. So what does that equate to? What is watching UFC and that passion? Where's the first place you go look?
So I was, before I was 18, I was already in bars in New York. Like I didn't know that people had fake IDs. Like when I joined the Navy, like, you got a fake ID? I was like, for what? Like,
why?
Go to bars. I've been going to bars.
I got a real ID.
Like no one's asked me for an ID. I was going to the tunnel and bars like that in New York and clubs.
You just always have the Cuban facial hair?
Yeah, I mean, I just no one cared. Like, no one cared. They just let you in. As long as you had girls with you, they just let you in.
For sure.
So like, I was, I'd already been in some fights. Not a lot, but enough, And then I was in Syracuse, actually. I was at Syracuse. And you know how they do, like those fairs where everybody has a table set up?
Yeah.
And you're just walking around, and they're trying to get you to either to
buy
pledge a fraternity, be
part
of a club, this. So I'm walking by, and this guy I hear him go, me and my boy, I hear him go, "Yeah, I teach a lot of stuff you can use in a bar fight." Talk to this man right here. Let's see what this man's talking about. And he was like a Kempo karate guy. Like, picture a karate guy. That was him. Okay. Mustache. Like exactly like you picture like a 70s karate guy. That's what he looked like, And he was like a bouncer. He used to tell us he worked like security for like hardcore shows. And he's still there. I emailed the dude 2 years ago to tell him that I was still training from 1996.
Wow.
So he's still there at the school. He runs like a boxing club. He had boxed before. So it was a tradition. I started in
What's his name? Do you remember?
Phil something.
All right, Phil something. Shout out to Phil something.
Yeah, Phil. I had his name somewhere. But yeah, so then I started, and we just started training, and it was traditional martial arts, but it wasn't like we weren't doing all kata and this and that.
Yeah,
even though I was down,
traditional forms and stuff.
I was down because I was just like, martial arts are cool, So I thought, all right, I'll do whatever he asked me to do, and then from there, like I was there for a year. I trained with him, then I kicked out, and it was like choppy. I went to some bullshit karate place in Queens just because it was near my house. I went there a few times. That sucked, and then I joined the Navy. So by the time I got to Bangor, to Washington, that's when I started. I went to every single martial arts school in the area, and I trained there for a couple classes until I was like, nope, this place sucks. And then I went someplace else, and then I went someplace else, and I ended up in a Kyokushin place. Okay. Kyokushin karate.
Yeah.
And that was the one that I was like, oh, this is as close to fighting as it feels like to me.
Okay.
Because we sparred hard. Everywhere else was like, just wasn't like that. So
yeah, it's like
even though
Kyokushin, throw a punch.
Yeah, even though Kyokushin has like limited rule, like you don't punch to the head, but you spar bare knuckle. Ooh. So you're punching each other as hard as you can from the neck down, and you can kick to the head, and you're only wearing cloth shin pads. So that felt like fighting. You know, that
Yeah.
felt like fighting to me.
Yeah.
So I stayed there for a little while, and then I met the guy who I ended up training martial arts, training like MMA with, like at a bar.
Wow.
Yeah, I met him at a bar, and he was like, "Hey, you know, what do you do?" And he was like, "Oh, I teach martial arts." And I was like, "Where?" I was like, "I've been to every martial arts school here." He's like, "Oh, I just moved back in California, and I just opened a place." So that's where I started. That's where I stayed, you know, for the next, I don't know, 8 years or something like that.
What was the name of that?
Martial Arts Training Academy in Bremerton, Washington.
Bremerton.
Yeah, Bremerton, Washington. Yeah.
I took a tiger cruise to Bremerton when I was a young. That was a young buck. My dad was in the military.
It's where Sir Mix-a-Lot is from.
Man, Sir
Brumelos.
still balling off of that song.
Yeah, Brumelos.
Little known fact.
Yeah.
Shout out Sir Mix-a-Lot. Okay, so you're training in Bremerton. You've got 8 years under your belt now. At what point did you say? Did you compete at all?
Yeah, I fought as an amateur.
Okay.
And I dislocated my shoulder at the beginning of the fight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
First fight?
First fight. Yeah, dislocated my shoulder in the beginning of the fight. I shot the guy sprawled. I posted a Winther reshoot, and my arm was out.
Ooh.
So I'm like, my hands are hooked, and I'm trying to reshoot, but I can't use this arm. Right? So I end up putting my arm on the ground and popping my shoulder back in, and then I sit out. And yeah, I sit out to the guard, and I just can't move my arm.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just moving, trying to avoid punches, and I end up losing, obviously, getting my ass whooped. But I'm still trying to figure out a way to win. You know, like
Okay.
consciously, I remember it clearly. I was like, all right, if I can just wrap
one
this,
arm, yeah.
I can do this. So obviously, I didn't win. I'm fucking ass kicked. And then, you know, like I get up, you know, they stop the fight. We walk to the back. I grab my arm, I lift it, and I put it back in.
All the way back.
And my coach is like, what the fuck was that? I was like, oh, yeah, that popped out at the beginning of the round.
Oh, yeah. That was...
And he was like, what? And then after that, like, I just was like, oh, it'll get better. And I just went right back to training. You know, it's like I just hung my arm from like my hoodie as much as I could. And then I was like, oh, it'll just get better. It didn't get better.
No, you got to give that ligament time to tighten back up.
Yeah, it was loose enough that even jogging, like my shoulder was like popping in and out. So I had torn my labrum completely away. And then I went back to, like, I was like training, like rolling with my hand in my shorts and stuff like that. Just it's going to get better. Yeah. So I made it worse. Yeah. And then a year later, I finally ended up getting surgery while I was still in the Navy, and they reattached everything. But they were a little bit too aggressive with reattaching. So like my shoulder only goes to there now. And
they
now
just shortened everything.
Yeah, they tightened everything up. And then after that, like I wanted to train, I wanted to keep fighting, and I just knew it wasn't going to happen. Okay. And then my coach, like after the shoulder surgery, my coach was like, I started teaching early on. I started teaching in maybe 2004. I was with my coach for a year and a half or something like that, and he was like, hey, man, so you're going to teach on Thursdays. And I was like, why? And he was like, because I don't want to be here on Thursdays. That was basically, he was just like, yeah, so I don't want to be here on Thursdays, and so you've been training longer than the rest of these motherfuckers. So you going to teach on Thursdays. And I was like, all right. So after I had my shoulder surgery, he came to my house. I was in a sling. I was on Oxycontin. So I was like, bro, I'm straight. I'll be training in a couple weeks. And then the Oxycontin ran out, and I was like, I ain't never going to use this arm again. This shit is never going to work again. Right? So he was like, all right, so when are you going to start teaching? And I was like, bro, I'm in a sling. I can't move my arm. And he was like, you could still teach. He goes, you could still demo. You could still have two guys demo and make corrections. And I remember just being like, no, I'm not doing that. And he was like, well, you're not going to not train, so I guess this is what you're doing. I was like, all right, okay. I guess I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And then I always liked teaching. Like, I liked teaching. When I started karate, I was like, oh, eventually I'll be a black belt and I'll teach karate. Like, I just knew I was going to end up teaching people.
Did you teach anything else? Or you just felt that inside?
Just felt it inside of me. I contemplated when I got out of the Navy just becoming a teacher. Okay. Like, I like conveying information. That's what I like to, like.
So, like a standard teacher?
Yeah. Okay. I thought, and I just figured I'd be terrible at it because I'm not very nice. Like, I'm just not nice. And I was a horrible fucking teenager, so I'd imagine if I get stuck with that, I'll have to kill that kid.
Sometimes those are the best. Sometimes those are the best teachers, though.
Yeah. So I just was like, I like conveying information. I like the aha moment.
Got it.
You know, like having taking someone from like they don't get it, and then and then all of a sudden they're not the nail every single class. Like they're helping someone else. Like I like that in a nerdy like martial arts way.
Got it.
You know, like that's for me. I know that we're all just supposed to be tough guys. Like I get it. It's supposed to be a bunch of tough guys, but that shit is old, man. It gets old. Like being tough has nothing to do really with being successful in the sport of MMA.
No, it doesn't.
Being tough has something to do with getting you there,
Mm-hmm.
getting to the dance, you know, like,
Yeah.
but nobody that's at a high level is just tough anymore, you know? So, like, being smarter and having a game plan and also being tough, you know, like.
It's part of it.
Yeah, Burt Watson was, like, kind of the heart of the UFC for a long time. He's the guy that gives you the speech in the locker room, and he's with Bellator now, so every time we go to Bellator, it's like, Burt. And he'd say it every time at the weigh-ins. He'd say, everybody here can fight. I promise. He's like,
that's why we're here.
He's like, getting here was hard. He's like, staying here is harder. You know, so, like, you could be tough to a certain point. But, like, for me, martial arts is supposed to be for everybody.
True.
Right? So bringing in a super tough athlete and being like, look what I made. Like, fuck, was already a good athlete.
Yeah.
You know, he was already a good athlete. He was already tough.
Yeah.
Like, I used to always say, if you give me a UFC fighter, I'll give you back a UFC fighter. So that's not impressive.
Yeah,
it's not impressive.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I think even in San Diego, I'm known for, like, development.
Transformations.
Like development, like building people. There's a lot of people who have attached themselves to fighters. Like, I'd like to say that I didn't do that as much. Like, there's some, but that's because they came to me and I was like, hey, listen, this is how I do things. You know, like, you're gonna have to train with everybody else. Like, I don't, like, this is a thing. It's a group thing. You know, like, I pay attention to you separately, but you got to do what everybody else does too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of people who every time a big name comes in the door, they're running to jump on their knees in front of them. You know, and I'm not like that.
Got it.
Hey, what's up? That's it. That's all you're getting from me. You know, like,
what's up?
So I find more gratification in taking someone that's not supposed to be good at this and making them competent than a super athlete and making them a super athlete.
I think that is one of the things that we've noticed in the coaches that we've had on, like, that you guys all are very, that moment, that, like you said, the aha moment is the moment that you guys live for. Whereas the athletes are living for the victories or the wins or the competition. You guys are really, I just want to see that person get it. I want to see the light bulb go off and them utilize it. And the fact that I was able to get them from A to B, you know, it makes me happy. That's a different breed of a person.
Yeah, it's like, especially you tell them something's going to happen a certain way. You know, listen, man, if you do this, this, and this will happen. And then when it does play out that way and it happens, you're like,
told you.
I told you. You know, that's not always, but if you do everything to the best of your ability in this way, this opponent can't beat you. You know, and there's sometimes where you're like, even if you do your best,
it may not
motherfucker
happen.
might beat you still.
Yeah, still.
You know, like, but that's the nature of the beast. You know, like, it's the highest highs and the lowest lows.
And that's what a real coach is going to give you ultimately, right?
Yeah, I think when you win, I always go, well, I didn't do anything. And then when you lose, I'm like, yeah, I should have thought of that. I should have addressed that. I should take, and I've seen this reverse, where coaches take credit for the win, and for the loss, they're like, I mean, I told them. So I'm the opposite of that.
Okay.
Like, when they win, people always congratulate me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do anything.
It's like the quarterback.
You know, like, I didn't do anything. I just went. I was just hanging out. You know, they're the one that got punched in the face. I didn't get touched.
For sure.
Yeah, fine. You know,
but if they lose, you take.
But if they lose, I take it hard. Yeah, I take it hard. And there's times where I get home and I'm like, I look at my girl and I'm like, I don't know if I keep doing this, man. It's just I take it too hard.
No,
but
I think that's. But I think that's why fighters gravitate to you though, because they know that you're so passionate about it, right? Yeah. I want somebody in my corner that's gonna, you know, feel the same way that I feel when I take a loss. Yeah. I don't necessarily need you to shoulder the responsibility, but the fact that you have just makes me feel that much more comfortable, because I know when we get ready for the next one, you're going to be on top of it.
Yeah, I'll be there. We'll be right on to the next one. Mm-hmm. If you look at a lot of my posts and a lot of people that have trained with me, you'll always see, like, on to the next one is always kind of at the end of the post. On to the next one. Because that's how it works. You know, like a lot of times, like, hey, this was great. This went great. Da-da-da-da. On to the next one. Because that last one doesn't matter anymore. It's just, you know, on to the next one.
So when did you get to San Diego?
2009.
2009. Is that were you out of the military at that point? Okay.
I joined the Navy in 97. I got out in 07. Right?
Okay.
So,
10 years solid.
Yeah, just shy of 10, like 9 years, 8 months or 9 months, something like that.
Okay.
And then my son, you know, I was already divorced. I was divorced way early on. I was divorced when my kid was little. Okay. So my kid was born in 99. So by 2007, he's 8 years old, and his mother is remarried.
Okay.
And she goes, hey, you know, my husband's in the Navy. We have orders to Texas. to Corpus Christi, Portland, Texas, technically next to Corpus
Yeah,
Christi, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, well, I'm out of the Navy, so I guess I'm going to Texas.
That's awesome.
And that was it. You know, like I
It's awesome. Most parents are not even going to think like that. I'm going.
I definitely had some questions from like my family, like, yeah, what do you? I mean, you're just gonna put your life on? I was like, well, what the hell am I doing? This is my kid. You know, like I'm not gonna be a summertime dad. So
heard it.
So I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to Texas. You know, they were gonna be there for 3 years. So I moved 2007. I moved to Portland, Texas.
Okay.
You know, I started teaching. You know, some local gym. I started teaching just a little group, and then like 9 months later, she was like, hey, we're going back to Washington. Yo, but I moved all my shit here. You know, like I moved all my shit is here. My stuff is here. You know, it was like it wasn't even a year.
Damn.
I thought I was gonna be there for 3 years. I was already like laying the groundwork. I was like, all right, I got some students. I'm teaching at a gym, and I had money in the bank. Like
it's okay.
I had money in the bank, and I was still waking up every day to open a gym at 5 a.m. like a small fitness gym, making smoothies and shit. Like my brother came out to live with me, and he was like, yo, why do you wake up at 5 in the morning? He goes, you have a ton of money in the bank, and I was like, well, because I've never not had a job. So I'm gonna work. I'm gonna work. So I was like, all right, I'll just settle in here. I live in this fucking place now. I live in this shithole, and I'll make the best out of anything. I always say I'm like a cockroach. Like I'll survive anywhere. You know. So
correct.
So it was good. I was like, all right, I'm chilling. I live in Texas. Fuck it. You know, like, and they were like, we're going back to Washington. I was like, all right, bet we're going back to Washington then.
Damn.
You know. So and it's funny because like my son's mother was like her husband was gone, and she was like, yeah, I can't take this anymore. We're going back to Washington, and I was like, how you getting there? She was like, well, we're going to have to drive up. So I was like, she's like, so you're going to have to drive with me. So I drive my ex-wife, my kid, and her other kid. I drive them to Washington from Texas. I drop them off. I fly back. I take all my stuff.
Drive
put
out
it in
again?
some guy's garage.
Oh.
Some guy I knew from the gym. He was like, yo, I got space. I was like, yo, I'm going to leave all my shit here. So all I had was the stuff in my car. And I drove myself back to Washington with just the stuff in my car, which was my gym bag, a box of books, some clothes. That was it. You know, just a couple kettlebells, you know, like some resistance bands. I was like, fuck it, I'm on the road.
Man, so shout out to you for being such a stand-up dad, man, to really make sure that you're in your child's life. And shout out to all the fathers that are out there doing the same thing, man. Kudos for that. I want to give you props for that.
Thank you. I couldn't have seen another I couldn't have seen another way, you know? Like, I know some people can. No. You know, but honestly, it was good for me. You know, it put me out there alone. I was comfortable in Washington. You know, like I know my way around. I know where everybody's at. You know, I got some training partners. Cool. It put me in an environment where I was like, oh shit. Like I could have just taken a job. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, when I got out of the Navy, I was working. Working at Swiftpack. I could have just taken a job at Lockheed. Like they offered me the job.
Wouldn't hurt.
The hiring guy, his name was Gus. He was like, hey Chuck, I don't have your resume yet. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna give you a resume. And he just laughed. He was like, what are you talking about? You're gonna get a job at Lockheed. He's like, I'm gonna hire you. He's like, you're qualified, Lockheed. Everything. Yeah. He was. I made E6 fast. I was up for chief already, and I had all the most of the bullets I needed in my resume. I had. Yeah. You know, so he was like, yeah, but you're qualified, everything. I'm gonna give you a job. And I remember it's such a stupid thing to say. I was like, nah, I'm gonna be poor and teach martial arts. And he was like, what? And I was like, no, I'm gonna be poor and teach martial arts. And he was like an old Southern black dude. And he said, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard. That's what, you know, like he was, oh, man, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard. And I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be poor and teach martial arts. And I'm still poor and I'm still teaching martial arts. You know, that was, a million years ago, whatever, 15 years ago or something like that. So I went back to Washington. Went back to my old gym. My kid was living in West Seattle and I was living in Bremerton again. So I'd have to drive all the way to West Seattle to take him to a jiu-jitsu class, go to get him dinner, and then drop him off, and then drive all the way back. So I opened a gym. Okay. Me and some of my training partners, this is 2008 now, me and some of my training partners were like, hey, because we had, like, my coach had, like, a martial arts school. Okay. But it wasn't conducive to training for fights. You know, like, it had a kids program. It was like a gym. It was a martial arts school. Basics. It was a martial arts academy. Baby, yeah. So first we got this back room, this freaking panic room, that it was like somebody let us use some space in a building, and it was like, y'all could just fight each other here. And we were like, all right.
Fight club?
Yeah, it was just, we called it Full Circle Fight Club. Yeah, like
they're in the back in the janitor's room.
It was literally like you walk through the front door, and there was like some trash, or like, just some like random things. And you open up another door, and there was like heavy bags hanging, mats, and a little boxing ring. and then we just beat the shit out of each other in that place, and we were like trying to figure out what an MMA gym was. So this is,
what the definition would be.
2008.
What did you guys call that place?
Full Circle Fight Club.
Full Circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, we called that place the Manette, but because it was in Manette, that's what the only. But Full Circle was like, I still like that name because I think everything comes full circle. So Full Circle Fight Club was the name when we finally, the gym that we opened in 2008.
Okay.
And then I was like, all right, I'm here. This is what I'm going to do. I was teaching most of the classes, and my coach was still teaching at the other place. We had like a conglomeration of people that were involved.
Okay.
So a bunch of the guys that had become instructors and like a couple extra bodies, were like all involved. So I taught the lion's share of the classes, and it was just kind of fell on me. Like we had somebody for every day, and then like, oh, this person's away, and this person's not around anymore. So I just ended up teaching a lot.
So this is right when MMA is starting to peak, right? Like it's really starting to hit the mainstream.
It's after the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah,
Okay.
so the Ultimate Fighter was 2005. So
are you seeing a large influx of people coming in? Did you guys have any problems, being a new gym, a new discipline?
No, we had brought some people already from my coach's place who, like, when they weren't up there, were coming down here basically again to fight each other. And then it was just starting to like build up and starting to get new faces in. And I remember we had one of our guys fight. He was going to fight for an amateur title, right? So that was like my first. Turns out the story turns out funny, but so my son's mother, I'm like, all right, I'm settled in, I got a gym, I'm not making any money, but I'm still good, I'm all right. It's like, hey, so we got orders, we're moving to San Diego. And I was like,
I guess I got orders too. I'm not in the Navy, but I'm still getting orders.
Yeah, I got out in 2007. I moved to Texas because of the Navy in 2008. I moved back to Washington in 2008. I moved to San Diego in 2009 because of the Navy. So then I kept going. I got out. How are they still fucking me? How are they fucking me still? I got out. How dare you still fuck me? But so San Diego, I was like, all right, bet. I told
That's
the other
not really
guys.
getting fucked.
No, it turned out great.
That's the win.
So I cornered our guy who won. He won an amateur title. We all took the after fight picture, and I was like, all right, so tomorrow I'm out. My shit was already packed. I only had the stuff in my car. So you
just got your first amateur victory?
My first amateur champion.
And you're bailing.
And that night, I was like, all right, later, guys. Later, guys. And the next morning at 6 a.m., I was in the car, moving to San Diego.
Damn.
Yeah, so I moved to San Diego, and I had a buddy I was on a submarine with who lived here.
Okay.
So I drove straight down. I drove to Bankers Hill.
All right.
I rolled up into his house, and, I drove by myself all night, just me, my gym bag, my books, my same shit that I have, my two kettlebells. Like I
haven't even got a chance to unpack this shit. It's still in the trunk.
I got to his house, and I'll never forget it because he was like, yo, how you feel? I'm tired, bro. I just drove from Seattle. He was like, why don't you change your clothes? We're going to Wave House.
Oh, like, Wave House down by the beach.
Okay. I was like, I'm in. And that was it. I was in San Diego. I was like wearing board shorts, having a drink, looking at the beach. I was like, yo, what the fuck, man? These girls were at a bar in bikinis. Like, you just in a bikini at the bar. I was like, this is great. And that was it. 2009. Yeah, 2009. I was in San Diego. I think it was May of 2009. I was in San Diego.
Okay.
And again, I had to figure out how I'm gonna live.
So how do you do that? What does that even look like? Because you're training.
Yeah.
Back in those days, I don't know if San Diego. Did we even have any the foundations back then?
Mm-hmm. A lot of the big gyms that are around now were just opening.
Okay.
So the arena had just opened.
All right.
Right. And I knew John X. You know John X?
Yes.
So I knew him because I came to visit. In 2007, when I got out of the Navy, I just drove around and trained different places.
Okay.
So, I drove my kid to Texas. Before I moved to Texas, I just started driving places.
Okay.
So I came to San Diego. And I trained my boy trained at Undisputed, so I went to Undisputed. I met John X. I trained with Barrett a couple times, and I was like, all right, yeah, this place is cool. Thinking, all right, I'm never going to be, I went to LA, trained there, went to Colorado, trained there, and then just thinking, I'm never coming back here. I'll come visit.
It was a good place to.
Yeah.
I'll stop.
So then I got back. My boy who had me live with him, he basically gave me a room, and I split the rent with him. Okay. And he was like, "Hey man, my boy John X works at this new gym. It's dope."
Like, cool.
Right. So I walked into Throwdown, which is now Victory.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I walked into Throwdown. I had a resume, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm looking for a job." And John X is like, "Hey, what's up, dog?" You know how he is. He's like, "Hey, what's up, dog? Come in, dog." He was like, "Hey, fill this out." Just like it was like my, my basic information. I was like, "I got to rate." He's like, "Man, fuck that, dog. Don't worry about it." And then I had a job. I had a job. I was working at Throwdown. I went from this little tiny gym where we were trying to kill each other to a giant marble floors and
state of the art.
I'm like, yo, that's Dean Lister. Dean Lister's right here. I'm looking around. I'm like, This is before Jocko was famous.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this dude was a Navy SEAL, dope. Like I meant
Can't
nothing
lose
to me.
it, yeah.
You know, like meant nothing to me. Like, yeah, he's big. Big motherfucker. You know, like that's it. That was the extent. Like, real cool, real nice guy. You know, crazy, but real nice guy.
Yeah, most
You
of
know?
them are.
So that was it. I was like, all right, I work here now. You know, and I started teaching private lessons. A couple classes came available. I was like, you know, I took those classes. I started teaching Muay Thai. You know, I'm an MMA coach at my core.
Okay.
But I am an instructor in Muay Thai, and I do like teaching Muay Thai. I prefer teaching MMA striking, but you got a job that says Muay Thai, I'll teach Muay Thai. You know.
Got it.
So I started doing that, and then I started school. I wanted to use the post 9/11 GI Bill.
All right.
So I used the post 9/11 GI Bill, and I went to school for the next 5 years.
Where'd you go?
Pacific College of Oriental Medicine, right? It's a school in Mission Valley. So I got my master's in science in traditional Chinese medicine.
Wow.
So I'm an acupuncturist.
Damn.
Yeah. So like acupuncture, like that. I wouldn't have made it through school. I needed to make the money that they were offering for post 9/11 GI Bill. That's what I needed, and regular school did nothing for me.
Correct.
Like I just
Wasn't
wasn't
challenging
attracted.
enough.
I wasn't attracted to it. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Go to school for business? Like I don't really give a damn about business.
And
like it just wasn't
going to
attracted
school for business doesn't teach you anything about business. Trust me.
Yeah, so I just didn't know what to do with myself, and I had looked at a school in Seattle for acupuncture because my shoulder. I went and got acupuncture and it helped.
It worked. Yeah,
it helped. So I was like, well, that's part of martial arts, right? So like
recovery.
they say like the highest form of martial arts is healing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, if I just treat it like martial arts, I'll make it through the school. So I was there for 5 years. I did an associate's program first. It was like a massage and bodywork program.
Okay.
And then I rolled right into the master's degree program. And then that's what I did for the next 5 years. So I was at Throwdown, which became Victory for 2.5 years. And then we had a parting of the ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the direct competitor gym. And when I left, I didn't agree with some of the way things were done.
Okay.
And there was a little bit of personality conflict with one of the coaches. I was cool with everybody else, but just one of the coaches rubbed me the wrong way.
All right.
And I told the owner of the gym, I was like, listen, man, we have a philosophical difference. I was like, I want to teach people martial arts. And this is it felt like a fitness gym to me. You know, and the classes were very like cardio-based.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine, but my classes were always going to be rougher. You know, and then I'd get that like, a little rough, man. Like, you know, you got a bottle service girl getting kneed in the body. And I was like, well, tell that bitch not to come to my class. You know, like there's plenty of other classes. You can not come to my shit.
Yeah, I didn't
you
force
know,
her in here.
So you know, I told the owner of the gym, I was very upfront. I had no ill will towards them. I was just like, hey, man, I'm going to go do something different. And they were like, well, where are you going to go? And I was already training Chris Cope, who was going to the Ultimate Fighter, and he was an arena fighter. And Cosmo Kala, I had trained him, he was at the arena, and it was right up the street.
Those are some big names.
Yeah. You know, so I walked over there, and I talked to Cosmo, and I talked to Cope, and I was like, hey, man, I need a home. The owner of the gym was like, what classes were you teaching over there? I told him. He was like, we'll make those same classes here. Bam. So, you know, I taught 7 a.m. Muay Thai, and I taught 7 a.m. Muay Thai for like almost 12 years in a row.
Wow.
5 days a week, 7 a.m. Muay Thai for 12 years.
That is serious.
Yeah.
That is serious.
And then I turned it over after COVID. When we opened back up after COVID, I turned it over to my student.
Okay.
And now he's one of the coaches at the arena teaching 7 a.m. Muay Thai, and he's like a Muay Thai coach at the arena now.
Got it.
Which is like a success story.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because he was a regular gym member.
And now he's a coach.
Then he became like my most regular student. He was there at 7 a.m. every single day. And then he fought amateur Muay Thai. He fought professional Muay Thai, and then now he has a job. You know, and I feel like that's exactly how it's supposed to be.
And what's his name?
James Uten.
James Uten.
Yeah.
Shout out to James.
Yeah, James is solid. He's tough as fuck. Like, he's like, you know, like the sparring partner, everybody's like, damn. He's going to come straight at me the entire time. He's going to throw as hard as he can, and he's just known for it.
Today is Tuesday,
like, you know,
bro.
He's like, Mike Lemaire and James just, Mike was like, I want to spar with that guy. He's crazy. You know? So now, like, I think that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, he's the next generation of people there at the arena.
Okay.
So once I went to the arena, I basically was like, my big thing about Victory also was there was no development, right? And this is, again, not a knock against, I'm not here to shit talk Victory. You know, they're still open too. Mm-hmm. You know, like they're still open. They got members, but I like to train new people. Like there was amateurs that were kind of just around.
Got it. Well, it was the name.
Yeah,
name.
It was good. It was, and we had a powerhouse back then. Yeah, you know, we had a lot of good people back then.
Still do. Still a lot of famous people training out of Victory. Dominic Cruz, and a few other names.
So once Alliance went over to Victory, So I was just like, yo, I want to train fighters, and Cope was going to the Ultimate Fighter, so I was like, well, it just makes sense for me to go over there. And then Chris Cope was helping out like with the amateur team, and he was like, hey man, do you want to help me out with this? And then that basically just became me taking over the amateur team. Like as soon as I started helping out with it, I was just like, yo, just get out of my way. I'm doing this now, and he was like, cool. I didn't really want to do it anyway.
Perfect.
And they had a couple of good pro names at that point. Joe Duarte was fighting in Strikeforce. KJ Noons was there.
Oh, sure.
Felipe Portello, who ended up being on the Ultimate Fighter, was there. So there was some hitters over at the arena there, and it was like the gym was smaller. It was a smaller gym. It was more of a fighter's gym, and that's what I wanted. Yeah. And now it's huge. Now it's
everything
blown up, and it's
football, all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah. So that's what I went to. I went to a smaller gym, and I was like, yo, I'll just I'll make my bones here. And then once I took over the amateur fight team, that was it. That's kind of where people started to see me over and over and over again, because I think I've been, like I said, I've been to like 48 of the 51 or 52 epics.
Oh yeah.
I counted one time. I went through on Camo's website and I counted, and I've cornered over 100 fights at Epic.
Wow. That is ridiculous.
Over 100 fights at Just at Epic. I cornered over 100 fights there. Yeah. And we've had champions in almost every weight class.
Yeah,
almost every weight class. I think we had heavyweight I'm pretty sure Keyshawn won the heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. Heavyweight, 205, 85, 70, 55. I think we got them all, man. I don't think we got 35 for some reason.
That's ridiculous.
No, I think Zach won 35. They're all still in there. They're still in there. Crazy. I got to bump them around in my head, but we had a couple different guys win California state champion, and then a couple guys currently Bobby's still a state champion.
Bobby's still state champion.
That was my last fight that I cornered here. Yeah, and I flew into town the day after he fought at Spar Star, and I tried to get here before, and I just couldn't make it just so I can go to the Spar Star fight. But yeah, so fighter development, that was my thing. That's what I like to do.
Is that when you took this job at the arena, was that when you really started to feel like, okay, I'm in my element, I'm where I need to be?
Yeah, I got to do my own thing.
Okay.
At Victory, it was very I was controlled.
Okay.
I was just so I'm just here for class, and then help a couple people individually. Once I got to the arena, I was able to just get a little group of guys and be like, we're just gonna do our own thing over here. And then Vince, who's still Vince is the head coach now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Vince and I were once I took over the amateur team, basically Vince was like, yo, I'm gonna help you out, and then we basically sat next to each other for the next 11 years in a row.
Tons of pictures of you guys.
Just me and Vince, man. So it just worked. It just worked. Whoever else was around was great, but it was always me and Vince. Me and Vince were the ones that looked at every opponent. Me and Vince were the ones that cornered every fight. We were the ones sitting in the hotel rooms. So still, I just cornered Liz in Bellator. Vince was there. Yeah, so it was it's that helped. Having that consistency of somebody who's super skilled on the same page and doesn't really care about all the extras. Just let's get there, let's win these fights, let's leave. Mm-hmm. That's all I do. I leave as soon as the fight's over. As soon as the fight's over, I don't celebrate.
You're like a ninja.
I start putting my stuff in the bucket. I'm like, yo, let's take this picture. We take the picture. We'll post it. I'm out. I'm in the car. That's all I want to do is just get home.
That's crazy. And I mean, so you just, speaking of big names, you corner and train Liz Carmouche, who was the first female featured in the first female bout ever in the UFC against Ronda Rousey. We all know how that went, but she is now the current flyweight champion for Bellator. So if you guys don't know who Liz Carmouche is, I am Girlrilla. I don't know how to spell that exactly, but if you look it up on Instagram, you can follow Liz. Liz is an awesome athlete, awesome being. How did you guys meet? How did you meet Liz?
Actually through her wife.
Really? Okay.
Her wife was training at the arena. Yeah, so Liz was a 10th Planet. She was well, originally it was Combat Academy.
Yep.
And then it became 10th Planet San Diego. So Liz was already she was already in the UFC. It wasn't I was no part of her development.
Okay.
I don't take credit for Liz at all, even though she would say that I've helped her. I just was just in the right place at the right time. If anything, I just gave her confidence.
All right. Well, that's huge.
That's all. That was
a big part of it.
That was my role. And I think I didn't build Liz up. Liz is tough. Liz could have done this by herself.
Correct.
She could have. She's a different kind of athlete. Mm-hmm. Physically, she trains super hard. She's physically a gifted athlete, but also just her work ethic, and it's anyone could have pointed her at anything. She was going to be successful at it.
Got it.
You know, so I started with her. Braylon, her wife, was already training at the gym, and she was training with me and Vince, and she loved it. And it was just like Vince and I have like a refined look at things sometimes. Like especially when it comes to striking, like striking and wall and some like ancillary parts of MMA is what I think I'm best at.
Okay.
Like I think that the things that putting things together is what I'm good at. There's plenty of people that are better than me in every individual area.
Got it.
But like getting that overview, like that bird's eye overview, and seeing what's best for each person, that's what I like to try and find.
Okay.
So when Liz came around, she asked me for help. She was still training at 10th Planet. Mm-hmm. Right, so I helped her for Lucy Pudilova, which was her second to last fight in the UFC. She won that fight. Mm-hmm. And then she told me, she was like, "Oh, I wish you had been there, because that was in Prague, and I was like, I'm not involved. Like I just helped." And then she left, and I watched the fight. She did what we talked about. She won. It was cool. And then so the next fight was Shevchenko.
Ooh.
Yeah, so for Shevchenko, we went to Uruguay. I went to the fight. She didn't win, obviously, but I don't know who the hell beats Shevchenko. She's probably the best person I've ever cornered against.
Really?
Like technique for technique, she's just too sharp. And Liz, I think Liz have a much more competitive fight with her now, but it took 3 years
to get that. Yeah.
To get the confidence in her abilities. Like, so I went to Prague. I didn't go to Prague. I went to Uruguay for the UFC, and she was the main event title fight against Shevchenko. She lost a decision. There was some little things that I thought like, this could have been done better. That could have been done better. And I told her after the fight, I said, we should have done more of this. We should have done more of that. She didn't behave the way I expected. Like
what you
I'm always trying to figure out what's if we do this, what's the reaction from the other person going to be? Mm-hmm. But Shevchenko's fight IQ is super high, and she never pressed. She stayed out in range.
She did exact opposite.
Where Liz
of what
was
you thought.
Trying to create angles and make her chase her so that she could time a takedown. Shevchenko just stayed out in the end. She's just so sharp. It's like, I told Liz afterwards, this is fucked up, but I told Liz afterwards, I was like, listen, man, I think you could have beat anybody in the world today. Not her. Not that bitch. I was like, that bitch too tough. She's good at fighting. She's just good at fighting. And I do think Liz could beat anybody in the world, and it was proven.
Yeah,
because she was basically, after that they cut her from the UFC. So she fought for a title, and they cut her from the UFC. And the basic feedback on that is
politics.
Hey, you could beat everybody else in the division. So now, how do we build the division up? So that's not her problem. That's not her problem.
Not my problem.
But she also had a lot of decision wins. She was she wasn't as exciting then as she is now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I don't think it's any technical thing that we taught her.
And
it's confidence.
The females were just getting out back then, right? She was literally the first female to ever fight in the UFC.
Yeah,
so.
I think she had a dozen UFC fights or something like that. She had quite a few. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the up and comers, the people that were in line for a title fight, Liz had already beat. Mm-hmm. So it's well,
we can't.
Why do they get a title fight? Liz already beat them. So, and I think it was what was best for her anyway.
I do. I think she's grown significantly since she's left the UFC.
And then the next fight was Deanna Bennett in Bellator, and it's been I think 5 or 6 since then. And I think 4 or 5 of them were finishes. Mm-hmm. She only had the one decision against Porto. But
all tough fights though.
Yeah. I mean,
all tough fights.
Porto's got 30 fights. Kana Watanabe was undefeated. She was 11 or 12-0. Deanna Bennett missed weight by 5 pounds. But she's also the type of fighter who will grind you against the cage, score takedowns, and win. That grinder, boring style fight. And then the champ, Juliana Velasquez. I thought Liz could beat her easily. There was a couple of technical errors in the first fight that left. The only reason she got hit in the first fight was a mental error. She stayed in line a little too long, trying.
Yeah.
The problem was she had hurt everybody with low kicks leading up to that.
Got it.
So she hit Juliana with a couple hard low kicks, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to hurt her." And Juliana was just too tough for her. So she landed a couple decent punches. The fight I thought was, at the end of 4, would have been 2-2. I thought Liz won 1, Juliana won 2 and 3, and then Liz won 4, but she ended up finishing the fight at the end of 4 with elbows from the crucifix, and that was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So that was
brutal.
Yeah, that was April of last year, and she, You know, like that she proved in the rematch that she was just on a different level. And I could see in the rematch, like as soon as she went out and the fight started, I was like, oh, she's gonna kill this girl.
You could just see it.
Like she doesn't let on. Like she doesn't let on that things bother her or that anything's wrong. She's just very stoic. But the way she like pursued her at the beginning of the fight, I was like, oh, she's pissed off. She's pissed off that this girl stole her shine.
Got it. Yeah.
You know, like throwing a fit that you got stopped when you were in a crucifix eating elbows. It's like, just be pissed off afterwards. You know, for now, just put your head down and be like, if you didn't want the fight to be stopped, you shouldn't let yourself be put in a position where you're eating elbows nonstop.
Correct.
You know, and Mike Beltran's a professional referee.
So,
you know, like there was the first couple didn't hurt, and then there was 5 or 6 elbows that were flush with her head against the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not intelligently defending yourself, and that's the criteria for stoppage.
Got it.
But there's no reason to discuss it now because she broke her arm in that fight. So she got the job done, you know?
Lord.
Yeah.
So what is it like coaching somebody? Obviously, you said that you don't take a lot of credit for that, but is there, when you first take on somebody of that stature, what is that internal feeling for you like? Were you nervous? Were you like, can I do this? Or were you like, fuck yeah, let's go, I'm ready?
I think probably all of us suffer from a little bit of imposter syndrome, where you think like, well,
I'm not really who
am I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, why would I know what the right thing to do is here? You know, like I think all of us suffer from that because I'm not the one doing it.
True.
And my strategizing and watching video and being like, okay, so this is gonna work, but what if it doesn't work? You look like an idiot. You know, so and I explain that to my girl sometimes. I'm like, listen, man, if they win, they look great. Yeah, people say thank you to me or congratulations to me. But if they lose, you look a piece of shit in front of the entire community.
That's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
It's true, though. Yeah. It is very true.
Yeah, like you just look like a piece of shit. Like, see? Sucked. I knew you sucked. And that's just how it is because it's like the community is full of people like that.
Yeah.
Who just don't want to see, like,
don't want to see anybody else shine.
Haters. And it's funny because there's plenty to go around. There's plenty of fights.
Tons.
You know,
not
there's
enough.
Plenty of
there's
fighters.
Not enough
you know,
of them
like,
happening. Yeah.
There's plenty of fighters. There's plenty of fights. You know, so I'm just not like that. Even though I have the distinction. Like I have hater tendencies, just like everybody else. But for the most part, I don't care what you're doing. Like I don't care what they're doing. You know, and Liz gets a lot of love, a lot of hate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of people. She sucks. I mean, she was the first woman ever to fight in the UFC. She fought for a world title 4 times.
Yeah.
You know, like she fought for the Strikeforce title. She only had like 3 or 4 fights. She fought, I think, Sarah Kaufman, who had like 20 fights in the time or something
Sarah
like
Kaufman's
that.
A beast too.
You know, so and she just, you know, like she's an exceptional athlete. And like I think like certain people work with certain people. Liz and I work. It works. Obviously, it works. I'm not gonna be super hyped up. I'm not going to be jumping around the locker room. I'm not going to be screaming. Like, if you need that, don't come train with me because I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be cracking jokes in the locker room. You know, me and Vince are going to be making fun of people in the locker room. That's, you know, like, that's what we're here for. I'm here to relax. You know, like, I always tell the guys, like, hey, man, you're going to fight this person either way.
We're prepared.
So what's the use of being all hyped up now? Like, you're super worked up at the weigh-ins for what? You gonna fight him? Don't worry about it. You know, like
time is coming.
Yeah, like that whole like again, I don't like that. I don't think that that's part of martial arts.
It's not.
I don't think that all that posturing and tough guy shit is part of martial arts. You could look at there's people who have done it in the sport, and they've never done that, and they've gone very far. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at some of the greatest champions, Anderson Silva, GSP. You look at those guys. I mean, there was people they didn't like.
Yeah, they'll make it known, but they're not gonna make a spectacle.
Wild out and make a fool of themselves. I try and tell people like don't become the character.
Yeah,
and I think that some people like want to become their fight name. Mm-hmm. You know, they want to prove to you how tough. Like,
well, a lot of that's got. You know, I was watching a documentary with Charles Martinez, and he was talking about how. That was really back then. That was really the only way he could get noticed was to become the bad guy. Yep. And when he took on that persona, he noticed that he was able to get more fights. You know, he noticed reactions from the crowds. So I think a lot of fighters looking at that think, oh, that's what I need to do. I need to go out and be.
And they're probably right.
I think just be you.
They're probably right. But if that's not like Chael Sonnen's good at it.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor's good at it.
Correct.
You know, like if you look at Conor, I like to use Conor as an example. his first fight in the UFC was Marcus Brimage, right?
Oh, I don't even remember.
And he beat up Marcus Brimage. It was great. He fucking stopped him in one, I think. But he wasn't as big of a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said in the interview, he's like, oh, a lot of people, they just want like pro wrestling. So you just become a character. That was like when he started in the UFC. And then he did exactly that. Like his whole look is stolen.
Yeah.
You ever see there's an Irish model that has like the same Conor McGregor look?
No.
I'll show it to you afterwards. There's a guy, same tattoo on his stomach, the big beard. Like he jacked his look from a guy.
Wow.
If you watch him in Cage Warriors, he didn't look like that.
No, he didn't.
Head was shaved, his face was clean shaved. He became a character. And it worked.
It worked.
But
he's getting paid, yeah.
But he fought the toughest people in order. Like when you look at his resume from the time that he fought the next toughest guy and then moved up the rankings, the next toughest guy.
Conor McGregor's a G.
And he sparked them all. So like ultimately at the end of all that, you still got to win fist fights.
You still got to win.
So
I thought he took a page out of Mayweather's book with the bravado.
Yep.
But yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize he had stolen.
Jacked his whole look, man. Jacked his whole style. Yeah.
And made it his own. Now it's
Conor
somebody
McGregor.
sees that guy, they're gonna be like, he's like
guy's
Conor
trying to
McGregor.
look like Conor. Yeah. But yeah, so I think like there's people that works for. Mm-hmm. I am not one of those people, and I think I would have a hard time coaching someone that's like that.
Got it.
Now that may be my flaw, but also I have to be comfortable at the end of the day with what I'm doing. And I don't want to be standing behind someone who's acting like an asshole.
Correct.
I'd rather just be like, hey, man, cool. You want to wear a costume or whatever the fuck it is you like? Cool, man. I just don't want to do that. I want to just show up and go to work. Go to work, But I think I think it's good. It is building your brand is important. And you look at the guys who do it well and you see they make more money. They make more sponsorships, so it is important. That's why I'm nobody's manager. I ran all those guys, everyone that was fighting for the arena for all that time. I set up all their fights, hundreds of fights. I'm nobody's manager.
Why not? Why haven't you thought about going into the management?
I teach martial arts. That's what I do. I don't want to talk to companies. I don't want to work. This is already too much for me. It is. It is. I want to just go sit by myself and not talk to anybody. Even when my girl goes to bed, I have to stay up and
just to get some alone time.
Put headphones in and just stare at the TV and zone out.
Get my own.
I'm not really that personable.
I understand.
And honestly, being at the arena for all that time and going to all those events helped because I had to start talking to people.
Well, you didn't have a choice.
I had to start talking to people. I had to I got to show up and I got to start sweet talking people right away. I got to see the commission. Hey, what's up, bro? How you been? Because you know
Kissing
what?
babies and shaking hands.
Listen, if the fight is close, I'm trying to get the nod. And I know that that's dirty.
That's not dirty.
But it's not dirty.
That's being being aware.
Listen,
that's strategy.
Jordan didn't get called on everything. Michael Jordan got favorable calls.
Because he was Jordan.
Because he was Michael Jordan. So if it means, hey, a close fight and the guy from the commission goes, well, Chuck is in that corner. Those guys are from the arena. They usually win. Let's give them this win.
If that's what it's coming down to,
if
that's what it's coming down to,
I've seen some questionable decisions.
Correct.
And I've been on the receiving end of where I was like, oh shit, we won that, nice. And I've been on the receiving end of where I was like, damn, okay, all right, well, whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and cry about it. All right, well, you shouldn't have left to the judges then.
True. True.
So, but meeting the matchmakers and the promoter and I don't want to talk to these people. I just want to sit in the locker room and talk shit. But I'm going to walk out. I'm going to see everybody from the commission. Hey, what's up, bro? How you been? Oh, I saw. Hey, congratulations on that. I'm going to I did that. And I think it was actually good for my personality, honestly. Yeah. It was good for me to just get out there and talk to people that way, because it worked out well for the arena. Mm-hmm. It worked out well for the fight team and my name was synonymous with the arena's fight team for a long time.
Still is.
If you heard the arena, they were going to be like, Coach oh, yeah, Chuck's going to be there. Where's Chuck? So, that's the good thing. Now I'm gone, so, I can, fade away a little bit. But I wanted us to get the best possible situations, Mm-hmm. And not that I want favorable matchmaking, but, hey, if somebody falls out and there's a chance for one of my guys to get a title fight, I want to be the first choice, even if he doesn't have enough fights.
I want to get that call.
I want to get that call. Like Bobby won the Epic title. He had 2 fights.
Correct.
You know, and that's his performances
Now
spoke for themselves.
And the SSP champ.
His performances spoke for themselves. But also,
100%.
You're at the arena. Like, yeah, of course you're going to be good.
That's
Everybody
true.
at the arena is good.
That name is, yeah.
You know, the name,
arena
the
is
name
synonymous.
It rang bells, you know,
It does.
for, you know, so, but Bobby, like someone had to fight him because after his first 2 fights, nobody wanted to fight him.
No.
So in order to make people fight him, you got to put a belt there. You got to put the state championship there. You got to, and now they're like, well, shit, I want to be the champion. I got to fight this dude.
Got to.
So, but I think his amateur career will be short.
Yeah, Bobby, if you guys haven't seen, please go watch his episode. Bobby Winther, the Ghost, absolute beast, undefeated, just won the Spar Star Championship and defended his state title. So he's got 3 belts right now, and he is on the rise. And like I said, I don't think he's going to last very long. He's one of those guys. So is Anthony Orozco. Now, we've had Anthony Orozco, and you've had your hand in his career as well. What was that like training these guys? Seeing these guys come in from, I mean, they both had some similar backgrounds, you know, some martial arts and a little bit of fighting or wrestling. What was it like getting both of them? Because they have both stated that you were instrumental in their growth as far as striking things go.
I probably should have watched the fucking episodes before I got here, you know what I'm saying? I should have done my research, stupid ass. Yeah, I mean, those guys are, again, easy to teach. You know, like easy to teach. I mean, I didn't make Bobby and Anthony good. They were already good. You know, like I know that sounds ridiculous, but Anthony can't. I met Anthony at the weigh-ins for Epic. That's where I met him.
Yeah, he told me that story.
I was at the weigh-ins for Epic. I saw him, and I had seen his camo profile. And I was like, hey, man, you're a good wrestler. You wrestled NAIA? He was like, oh, yeah. I go, where are you training? He told me where he was training, and I was like, why? He was like, I don't know. I just... it was like one of those awkward moments where I was like, why? I was like, why are you wasting your time? I was like, you're going to be too good to train there. I was like, so why don't you come to the arena on Monday? And he signed himself up for a fight at Epic. He had never sparred.
Yeah, no, that was his first time in the ring.
Yeah, he had never, like, that next week, I was like, hey, man, combinations to entries to takedowns, was like a warm-up for like, team practice. And he was like, what? Yeah, I've never thrown a combination to an entry for a takedown. And I was like, bitch, you fought already. I was like, bitch, you fought a man. You fought someone. And he was like, I never even sparred before.
You're like, what?
I was like, you fought someone already, though. He was like, yeah, I know. He's like, he got warmed up by his buddy. Like, you know, like he's just a different kind of dude.
He is.
You know, like, he's exceptional. Like, his level of relaxation. And
him and Bobby both are, they give me goosebumps.
Yeah, they're both. They're the best pair of amateurs we've had at the arena since maybe Alex Trinidad and Jeff Creighton.
Yeah, correct.
You get greatness kind of in waves, and if you can overlap that greatness, then you end up with a couple of generations of really good guys in one room. Where a lot of places, it's like people just get attracted to the thing. You know, like this gym opened up and they got this guy there. Fuck it, I'm going there. But like we have guys like Alex Trinidad, who's one of our pros. He fought for the California.
Alex.
He fought for the California state title. You know, he was an amateur champion. He's fought on Bellator, CFFC, Cage Warriors. You know, he's had a tough run with injuries and stuff. But you put him in the room, he dogs people. People that fought at a much higher level than him, he's a dog in the room. You know, so now you have Bobby and Anthony who have all this potential, and they have Alex there to mentor
guide,
them. Yeah. You know, and now he gets that work from them.
Which makes him better.
But also they're younger than him now. He was the young guy. You know, so when you start looking at like the generations, like he's of the previous generation to them. He's of like a generation and a half before them.
Yeah.
You know, so if you can get those things to overlap, then all of a sudden you got 8 guys in the room, 6, 7, 8 guys in the room that are the same size, and they're layered in skill levels. You're like, all right, so this guy can get the better of him here, but not here. Okay, bet. You know, and then Bobby was in a course that I taught, and then he messaged me from Virginia Beach, and he was like, hey, man, I'm moving to San Diego. I want to fight. And I was like, cool, bro. Like, what the fuck does that mean to me? It doesn't mean anything to me. You know, like, I'm here. I'll be at the arena.
I'll be here.
You know, like whatever day you show up, unless it's Sunday, I'm gonna be at the arena. I was there 6 days a week for 11 years. You know, like every 6 days a week for 11 years, I was at the arena. You'll find easy to find me. I'm by the fucking striking room. You know, like I'm by
right there
where the radio's at. You know, because my stuff is on top of that. So he like sent me some videos of him training in Virginia, and I was like, all right, cool. Fuck. Like I didn't know what to make of it. I was like, all right, whatever, bro, just get here. And like then some time passed, and I walked into through the jiu-jitsu room, and the jiu-jitsu coach Barrett was like, bro, this guy's good. And he was like, hey, what's up, man, Bobby? I messaged you, and I was like, oh, hey, all right. And then like I recognized his face because I don't know anybody's name. I don't know anybody's name. Like I know like 7 people's names in the whole freaking world. And I was like, hey, what's up, bro? I just call everybody bro. So then, then he started coming to team practice, and I was like, oh, this motherfucker is good. But like striking wise, he wasn't good.
Yeah, he said that.
Like his striking sucked.
Yeah.
He was a little stiff, but his jiu-jitsu was real
up to
good.
par. Yep.
His jiu-jitsu was definitely where it needed to be as an amateur for MMA. So as soon as I saw his jiu-jitsu, I was like, all right, you're gonna fight soon. You're gonna fight at the next Epic. So he must have been here a month and a half before we fought. And he finished that guy in like 25 seconds.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous. I was at that
beat
fight.
The guy up.
Yeah.
So, but then you get him with Alex and you get him with Anthony, and we start guiding him a little bit, and now he's a problem against the cage. He's taking shots in the open, so like everybody's level starts to rise. And he also competes a lot in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he does.
He competes a lot at high level jiu-jitsu
all the time.
So like people get the better of him, but that's not the only thing he does. But he puts himself in those situations to go get that look of like, oh, this is what the best people in the world look like. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to lose.
No, he's
like he could win every local tournament.
Easy.
Like he could just go to the local tournament, smash everybody, and win whatever the local tournament is. But he's going to these like higher level tournaments to put himself in like bad spots.
Competing for money, with the twins. He's doing some real. So
I think that's the marker for those guys. Like Anthony, I went to Mexico with Anthony for Pan Ams.
For Pan Ams. Yep.
For Team USA, and that was just a
5 fights. 4 fights.
Yeah,
over
4
3
fights
days?
in 4 days.
In 4 days. Okay.
Yeah, 3 or 4. I don't know, but he like we went to Mexico, and I had Bobby on the team as an alternate, and that was all because David Dinkins from Camo hit me up.
Yep.
And was like, hey man, they're taking a team, because I trained a kid that was on Team USA.
Okay. I
don't train kids really, but a buddy of mine hit me up. He's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was like, hey, I got this kid. He's good. I was like, all right. His father brought him in. I was like, I don't really teach privates to kids, man, but it is what it is. I'll teach this kid. And he was on Team USA. So before this year, they were only taking kids to like these international tournaments.
Okay.
So like he competed, I think, in Istanbul.
Damn.
Yeah. So I think he went to Dubai recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's I think the next wave of development, because you're like, we're supposed to go in February. We're going to Serbia for Anthony, Belgrade.
For what?
For Worlds for amateur MMA.
Wow.
So he'll probably fight 5 times.
That's a result of winning Pan Am?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And now that also is a result. Like I ended up being one of the coaches for Team USA because of Pan Ams. Because I basically grabbed the guy that was in charge, and I was like, listen, man, you need some fucking help. So now the coaching staff, honestly, the coaching staff is out of this world. It's me, Chad George from LA, Joe Stevenson.
Oh, yeah. Big Daddy.
Forrest Griffin was there.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple, John Y from the East Coast. So it was just like a conglomeration of all these different guys, and it's like I just moved. So
was that the trip that he took out to Vegas for the UFC training center?
They did a tryout for the remaining spots on the team.
Okay.
And they did it at the UFC Performance Institute.
Awesome.
So I got Vicky Anthony, the wrestler. I put her name in, so she's on Team USA now.
Wow.
She's gonna go to Serbia with us. But she was on Team USA for wrestling. Yeah. So this is a way for her to, because who wants to fight someone that was on the world team for wrestling?
No one.
So this is a way for her to get. This is a way for her to get fights in rapid succession.
Got it.
So it's just a way for her to get experience. And Anthony, after this, he's gonna see the best
in the world.
He's gonna see some Dagestani wrestlers. He's gonna see we had everybody from Tahiti that fought MMA came here. Mm-hmm. Right, so they all fought for us, and they were sending a team. So they were competing against guys from Bahrain, from Dubai, from all these different countries, and the team from Bahrain has a bunch of Dagestanis on it.
Ooh. Because
the Prince of Bahrain. I went to Bahrain a couple of times and taught. My kid was in Bahrain, so I ended up going to Bahrain too.
All around the world.
Yeah, I've been around, man. So they brought in a bunch of Dagestanis and basically that's who runs their team.
Damn.
Right. So the prince was like, "Oh, I'll pay for their housing. I'll pay them a stipend." So they just run the fight team, and that's where the show Brave is from. The Prince of Bahrain liked MMA. He went to a show. Was like, "Well, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have an MMA team, and we're gonna so KHK that's his initials, the Prince of Bahrain's initials." Wow. So they got so those teams are tough. All these different
tons of resources,
Eastern European wrestlers, and they so. Anthony's going to be as tested as you're going to get.
And what is your prediction?
I don't know. I think that dude's hard to beat in an amateur fight. I don't see him getting caught in any submission. There's going to be some wrestlers that can give him a hard time, but his style of wrestling is hard to deal with. He's not his timing is crazy. His fluidity is crazy. So he's hard to even if you get to him and you somehow take him down, keeping him down is so hard. But either way, it's a great for him. Yeah. So win or lose, I think he'll probably win.
Yeah, and then from there, that's going to be.
He's a professional.
That's professional.
Yeah, he's a professional.
There's nowhere else to go.
I told him already. I was like, listen, man, as soon as this is over, I'll get you your pro debut, and then you're on your way.
And what do you think, you guys? What do you think you're going to try and Bellator, UFC? What do you think?
He'll end up in the UFC. I don't think there's any chance he doesn't end up in the UFC.
Me too.
Just with the right, especially now that we have Cage Warriors here. It's a feeder show that could lead you straight to the UFC, So we didn't have that before in San Diego.
Yeah, correct.
So it was
recently, within the last 2 years.
Yeah, and Graham from Cage Warriors, I know Graham
is here.
I was teaching him private lessons before Cage Warriors came here. Yeah,
shout out to Graham Boylan.
Yeah, he's the man, and he just hit me up randomly on Instagram. I think he heard my name somewhere. I was like, hey, I want to do private lessons. And initially, I was like, I don't really do privates, man. Even though I
for Graham Boylan,
but then I looked at his social media. I was
like, okay, I gotta do it.
Cage Warriors.
I gotta do it.
And he's cool.
Yeah,
if he was an asshole,
guy.
I wouldn't have done him.
Yeah.
It's just how I am. I don't care, man. I just won't do it. But he was a cool guy, and he told me, he was like, I'm bringing Cage Warriors here, and I'm also he wanted to do a team, basically what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this years ago, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm down. If you need anything, just let me know. So, putting guys on Cage Warriors, if you get a couple fights and then you start being successful on Cage Warriors, there's a pipeline. There's a pipeline to go to the UFC.
Correct.
So it's tough. You can get fights everywhere. You want to fight the next logical, next best guy, but at some point you need eyes on you.
Correct.
And you need eyes on you with favorable timing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we were suffering before. I can get you a fight at LFA. But a lot of times it's going to be hey, you got a guy for 10 days from now, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
If we accept here and he wins, then I get him.
Great.
But if he loses, then he's in. But if he loses, then it's a law. It's just it gets tricky in those if you don't have your own show.
Got it.
And I think that's what Cage Warriors now. You see the way that they're doing development here. The guys just went and fought in England because they fought here.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson went. The wrestler kid Chase and Blair went. Those guys were just fighting at a local show. It just so happens that it's Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
And they know how to they put it on. Cage Warriors puts it on. They've been all over the world.
High level of competition, and they're growing fast.
Yeah.
They're growing real fast.
So I think that's kind of the path for Anthony and Bobby.
I would love to see Anthony go. I feel like he's on that track. I feel like Bobby's on that track as well too.
Yep.
But Anthony is a little more underrated. Anthony is our lowest watched episode on the podcast, but he's got some of the largest accomplishments.
Yeah.
Winning Pan Ams, but he doesn't have any state championships. Not because he couldn't.
I try to get him. I
think he'd beat anyone in the state of California right now.
I think he's the number one. He might be the number one.
He's the number one ranked middleweight in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
For good reason.
I tried to get him after those first couple. They accepted a fight with him at the third fight. I think his third fight. I was shocked they accepted it. I think it was Gio.
Yeah, it was Mayor. Yep.
And so I was like, okay, that's cool. I was like, at least props to him, man, because that's a tough fight.
It is.
But if you look at it on paper, Bobby executed his people quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony dragged it on a little longer.
Yeah.
So if you looked at their records, you're like, well, this guy, he won by decision. He won here. So, all right. But you look at Bobby's and you're like, 25
TKO,
seconds,
TKO,
28 second submission. You're like, I'm not trying to get embarrassed in front of my girlfriend.
For
and
sure.
shit. You know, so I think Bobby's record just scared people at the beginning. Like you don't want to get beat up in 25 seconds. No. You know, like if Anthony's gonna take you down and drag you around a little bit, you know, at least you're like, I got a chance. I could throw up a submission, you know.
Let my girl get some pictures of me punching a few times.
I told the guy who's the head of camo.
JT.
Yeah, JT. Yeah. He was there in the locker room talking. You know, we were just talking, and I was like, "Yo, you got to watch this kid, Anthony." I was like, "Watch this kid." He was like, "Okay." I was like, "Just when we get out there, just watch him." And I think his second or third fight, he got like 11 takedowns in a round and a half or something like that.
Yeah, stupid.
And JT came up to me afterwards, was like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "How is that kid not the state champion?" I was like, "He's only had 2 fights." And he was like, "He needs a state championship." And then, like, you know, somebody dropped out on him. And then there was like somebody else that had it from, you know, and I'm like, listen, he's obviously the state champion. And then Pan Am came up. And once I got him on that, I was like, all right.
Forget it. Yeah.
He just won, I think, White Belt Worlds or something like that. Blue Belt Worlds.
Blue Belt.
Yeah. You know, and
wearing our stuff.
You know, so I was like, he's just, I mean, he barely trains jiu-jitsu.
No.
Like, that motherfucker dancing. He's out there. He's probably at a music show right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, he's just, I don't get it.
He is so, and he's so humble.
And he's like
so
very charismatic.
Very unaware, too. He's just.
Yeah, very charismatic, very like.
Easy-go-lucky.
What's up, bro?
Yeah.
You know, like, he's very loose and, you know, like. But
just got his first girlfriend. Like, Lord.
Bro, the first fight that I went to, there was 50 people in the crowd.
Oh, no, yeah. His following is dumb.
Yeah, and that's all, like, you know, like even people that I know from other gyms were like, yo, that kid's training with you? Like, I remember him from high school. Mm-hmm. You know, and he didn't grow. He started wrestling like in the 9th grade.
No, he's a beast.
Yeah, so him and Bobby are like fast track.
Exceptional.
Like they're not on the same path everybody else is on.
Correct.
You know, like in order to beat those guys, you're gonna have to be elite.
And so you really don't. I mean, listening to you speak, I understand the level of humbleness, but you really don't see any correlation between your training and these people's accomplishments.
Well, I mean, yeah. Because I mean, obviously, I know.
For Graham Boylan, let's just use that as an example. Graham Boylan's got 95% of the MMA world at his disposal. He could have called anybody. Yeah. To train privates.
I'm real funny. I'm a pleasure to be around. No, I don't know, man. I don't even hold pads for people really. Like I don't like doing that. I like the strategery of it. That's not a word. I like the strategery of it. I like
we make it a word.
I like the like we have this guy. This is his weight. Who's around? And then send me names. And then all right, this guy can't beat him. You know, but this guy's a problem for the. You know, I like that part of it. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, they have to execute. You know, so and I think like there was a fight that Liz won, Kana Watanabe. Okay. And Liz beat her up like 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Broke her face. Mm-hmm. She broke her orbital.
No,
right?
Yeah, she was.
We took that fight on short notice, right? And I remember watching it, and I don't have the best way of saying things sometimes, but Liz is a Marine, and she gets it. You know, like she gets how I am. You know, like I'm not very politically correct and stuff, but I was watching Kana's fights, and I saw what she was good at, and it was a short notice fight, and Liz has a tendency of like overthinking what the other person can do.
Got it.
All right, so they're good at this, so I got to be aware of this, and they're good at that, and beware of that. But then when they fight her, they don't always fight exactly how they do. The
same way, yeah.
And after the Porto fight, I think is when we were talking about it, because Porto's super aggressive, and not against Liz. And I was like, you know what we have to start thinking, Liz, is
how are they going to adjust
they're
for
thinking
you?
About you.
Exactly.
Like, they're worried about your game. Mm-hmm. And I was like, who the fuck is she? You're Liz Carmouche.
Correct.
Like, you know, like, who the fuck is she? She's the one that should be worried. You know? So, and I think that helped. I think Liz, like, something flipped in her brain.
Turned the switch, yeah.
You know, and I was like, you know why they don't fight like they fight everybody else?
Because
they're scared of you.
Because they're scared.
They know if I make a mistake,
I'm fucked.
She's going to take me down. She's going to submit me, and I'm gonna look foolish. You know, so when she fought Kana, I remember, because it was a short notice, we didn't get a full camp, and I was trying to pump her brain up, and I remember just being like, oh, this bitch can't beat you in a fist fight. And she was like, what? I go, can't hurt you. I go, she can't hurt you. She can't beat you in a fist fight. And right. She was like, yeah. I go, she don't hit hard enough. She doesn't hit anybody. I was like, she can't beat you up. I was like, so maybe she could take you down. I was like, can't hold you down. And it's like, and you could submit her from the bottom, even if she took you down. I was like, I don't think she could take you down. She's too small. You know, a lot of the Japanese fighters are undersized, especially when they come to America because Americans cut weight. You know, so I was like, she's not strong enough to manhandle you. Like, no, none of the women are. I was like, she can't hurt you with punches. Like, she barely kicks. I was like, and she can't hold you down.
So what are we waiting?
I was like, so this bitch can't beat you in a fight.
Yeah.
And then she just went out and beat her up, and then she was like, yeah, you told me she couldn't hurt me. And I was like, yeah, she can't hurt you. So what are you worried about? Like, maybe she could catch you in something, a submission, but she didn't submit anybody. You know, so she won. You know, she won a lot of fights off of like control on the ground. Correct, and a couple people gave their backs and stuff, and she won. You know, like she's a good fighter. She's a skilled fighter.
No, definitely.
But she wasn't on Liz's level. You know, so I think that's where like I'm good at talking to them.
Okay.
But I don't think there's anything earth shattering that I'm showing that everybody else doesn't know. I think I'm good. I think I'm a good coach. I think the material. I think that I'm good at sequencing material, and I'm good at giving the amount that they need when they need it, and pointing out little things, and like I'm good one-on-one with them, and I'm good at running a practice. I've run 1 million practices, but I think just it's like a comfort thing. Like I make them comfortable.
What is that? What does a camp look like for you from a coach's perspective when you're getting ready? Are you watching an insane large amount of film? Or are you just really focusing on your fighter and what they're good at? Or what does that look like?
I always say, like, we adjust certain things based off the person that's fighting next. So during team practice, we'll, you know, like, hey, these two are fighting next, so they're going to finish up with, you know, these extra rounds of either conditioning or this or that. So that does adjust a little bit, but for the most part, camp is always going on.
Okay.
You know, that's always going on. I expect that the person that's fighting is doing all the extra without me having to tell them. And that's, again, my flaw. Like, oh, you're not going to get on the airdyne bike today? I guess you're going to lose. You know, like, occasionally I'm like, yo, you're on the bike. All right. But usually I go, hey, man, you need to do the bike this many times a week.
So you lay it out and then let them.
Like, if you don't want to do it, then you're going to lose. You know, like, I'm not here to babysit anybody. That's not my thing.
Okay.
Like I think we're all adults. You know, I'm gonna be here. If I'm here, you should be here. I'm fucking 45. I'm about to be 45 years old. If I'm here, you should be here for sure. You know, for like, sure. And I used to have these meetings with the team, with the fight teams. We've had the fight team for so long, and I would go, if someone whooping your ass in front of a crowd is not enough motivation for you, then don't do this.
For sure, for sure.
Don't do this.
That's bottom line, right?
I'm not trying to get my ass. I'm not trying to get my ass with the 7-Eleven
for no reason.
I'm definitely not trying to get my ass whooped in front of people I know.
Yeah, and stream.
You know, like I tell the new guys, I go, yo, you know what? Don't even tell anybody you're fighting. And I know that that's wrong. I know they're gonna tell people. I'm like, you want to get your ass whooped in front of your mom? I've seen people's mom tell them off after they fought.
I told you.
Yeah, like
told you couldn't fight.
Stupid. Why? Look, you're gonna get hurt. And now they're arguing with their mom. I'm not trying to be involved in that. Get your stupid mom out of the locker room. You got your girlfriend with you. Get your fucking girlfriend out of here too. Like I'm not like like I don't want your girlfriend around. I want you out of here. You know, like we are here. We're doing man shit right now. You know, it's not time for the women and the children.
Got it.
You know, so for like fight camp, I will single things out. I usually hold pads for, you know, people that are fighting soon, but I don't always hold pads. There's coaches who hold pads for everybody every day. Nope, not me. I'm not doing that. You're going to have to drill with a partner. You're going to have to get together with a partner. And again, maybe I'm wrong. I could be. But I believe that you have to earn that time. You have to earn the pad work. You have to earn me spending extra time with you. If you're not here every day and you're not going to classes and doing this and doing that, you're going to be a no pad hitting motherfucker with me. You ain't going to hit no pads, you know, like. And Vince is the same way. So Vince and I get along that way. You know, like if you guys get here early, I'll be here early. If you guys want to stay late, I'll stay late. But if it's the end and you guys are sitting around and we're just all talking, I'll sit around and talk bullshit with you, and then I'll get in my car and leave. You know, so I could be better at that. I could be better at structuring camp, but the person gets the extras that they need in the positions that they need. If I'm worried about them getting taken down, they're going to have to get up for a lot of rounds. You know, and if there's certain things that they do well that are going to be effective against the opponent, then we're going to drill that repeatedly. Okay. And sometimes that means that, hey, what everybody is drilling today is for you. Now, they don't need to know that. Right?
But why not?
But they can get better at it either way. Yeah. So why not? You know, so it's valuable training either way. But, if you know, like there's certain classes that fighters come to, you know, like regular classes. Like there's like the way we had the schedule structured. There's a couple of daytime classes that some of the fighters come to, and our team practices at 4. So if I look over and it's Liz and Enrique and a couple fighters in the room, everyone else in the room is doing shit that they're working on. And if you can't keep up, cool, I'm going to give you a scaled version of that.
Okay.
I'm going to scale it down for you, and for them, I'm going to scale it up. So, like, if I'm teaching a class, I usually like to say that I feel like I'm running 3 classes when I teach a class.
Okay.
Right? So the middle of the room, like if let's say there's 10 people, I'm teaching to the middle 4 or 5 people. Right? That's the meat and potatoes of the class. The most advanced person, I come over to and I go, hey, you could also do this, this, and this.
Got it.
And the newest person, I go, hey,
don't worry about that.
You only got to worry about the beginning part of this drill.
Okay.
And so, like, the material is the same, but
they're
the level
focusing.
of scaling it is, and that's where I think I excel as a coach.
Okay.
Like, I think, like, some people get 3 new people in a room and they freak out. Not me. I got it. You know, like, I like teaching. So I'm like, I got it. All right, you go with them. You go over here. All right, you people stand from this part over. Okay, here's what you guys are working on. I can do it, you know, so why not? Everybody can get something valuable out of it.
Got it.
You know, like, it's just how far into the drill you scale. Like, you guys are just doing this first part.
I've never heard it approached that way before.
I think people do it, like, somewhat automatically. I think like, if you ask them, they would be like, oh, yeah, I do that. But I'm, like, aware of it. Like, I'm aware that I'm teaching, like...
And I'm thinking from my own coaching experiences, and I've only played, like, football and ran track and things of that nature, but from my own coaching experiences, when we were doing receiving drills, it wasn't scaled. It was, we're doing this drill, you're going to run it, and if you're good at it, great, keep running it till you get good at it.
Yeah.
But the drill as a whole,
right?
It wasn't the coach saying, hey, you know, you ran that drag, but I just want you to focus on getting to the 10-yard line, breaking down, and taking that pivot step. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about getting your head around right now. Don't worry about getting your hands in position. Worry about breaking down. That's not it. They're looking at the whole route.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess I could see that. Yeah, I guess I could see that in drill, especially when you're formulating drills for a group.
Mm-hmm.
You got to kind of go with the middle information. But I have, like, specific control of what's happening in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I think that I think everyone can do it.
Yeah, for sure.
They may or may not, but I think everyone can do it if they really think about it, and that's why I can have an advanced person in the same room as a beginner. Mm-hmm. You know, because if I only teach the advanced person, that beginner will quit.
Correct.
And if I only teach that beginner, that advanced person will stop coming to the class.
For sure. Wow,
you know, so it's like I have to do something to maintain that, and that's why I'll never I mean, I've taught classes of 20 and 30 people. I don't even want to do that. I want to teach 10 people.
At most, yeah.
You know, like 10 to 14, 7 pairs. Bet. You know,
good.
like,
yeah.
That's so, like, because I want the quality of instruction. I've taught big, giant classes before. I got to dummy everything down. Like, when I first started teaching, again, I'm very nerdy about this kind of shit. I would write index cards of all my classes, right? So I would plan out classes, and I had one of those index card holders, and it would be separated out by MMA, Muay Thai.
So you know exactly. Okay.
So I could flip one of those and grab an index card, and I had a class written.
Got it.
Right? And a lot of times I would have to vary that. I'd walk in the room, everyone would start warming up,
like
and I'd be like,
it's not going to work for these guys.
It's not going to work. So now I don't decide what I'm going to do until they're shadow boxing.
Okay.
Once they're shadow boxing, I'm looking around the room, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And that's how I decide what I'm going to do. Okay. But again, that's also like just me challenging myself because I've taught 10,000 fucking classes. Mm-hmm. You know, like I did the math. I'm somewhere around 10,000 classes I've taught. Yeah. So that's me challenging myself. So I'll go to it. Like I just taught a seminar yesterday at Alliance with Elias.
Yep.
And I literally was like, what do you guys want to learn? And nobody said anything. So I just went into what I wanted to teach. But I've taught seminars where I'm like, any requests? And if anybody says anything, I'll start right there. And that's just challenging myself. Like I taught a seminar.
Because you never know what somebody's going to say.
I taught a seminar at the UFC gym in Virginia Beach when I went, and 3 people said 3 different things. And I was like, all right, bet. Let's start right here. And then I made it, and at like the last 20 minutes, I made it to what the last person said.
Got it.
And everybody was like, holy shit, you made it back. And I was like, yeah, you're damn right.
Yeah.
You know, like it's because of that. That's my own arrogance, though. That's my own arrogance. Like I think I'm better than teaching than everybody else.
But fighters have arrogance. So to teach a fighter, you still got to have some level of arrogance.
Yeah, and that's just your ego.
Right, you got to be the best.
Like your ego could be your enemy, or it could be like your guiding force.
Correct.
You know, and I just think that's what I'm egotistical about. Like, I just think that when it comes to putting this shit out, I'm good at it. Because if I'm not good at that, then I'm not good at fucking anything, honestly. I was a mediocre baseball player. I was decent. I was decent at all these different martial arts. I was better than average. But conveying that, getting that information out, that's what I'm good at.
I'm a genius.
You know, even now, I barely fucking train. You know, but even when I train, like, I'm not as good as I once was.
Of course.
None of us are.
No.
You know, none of us are. Things are diminishing. Degrade. You know, our bodies are diminishing, our age is diminishing. But every now and then you get a flash of brilliance and you're like,
I still got it.
Fucker, I still got it. I still got it a little bit, you know, and that's what keeps me going. But honestly, if it wasn't for teaching, I'm sure I'd still be training, but I'd be training a couple times a week.
Just
you know,
just for health.
Yeah, I'd be training a couple times a week for fun. I'll go lift. I'll do machines, man. You know, I'll do chest. I'll do chest and tries still. You know, it's like the 90s, bro. I'll do chest and tries, bro. You can tricep push downs. I like that shit. You know, like I've always liked that though. I started lifting weights at an early age, and I've always liked that. And then I just realized it wasn't really helping me that much for MMA, and you know,
it'll actually hinder you.
Yeah, so I started doing more like functional training and this and that, and then you know you get hurt. Like I stopped grappling for a long time because I hurt my neck. Oh. So I got 3 bulging discs in my neck, and I couldn't feel my hands. For like 6 weeks, I couldn't feel my hands at all. And then I was like, all right, well, this is stupid.
It took you 6 weeks to go to the doctor?
Yeah, at least 6 weeks, yeah.
Hard. And then you got fighters did pain, Lord.
Yeah, my pain tolerance is crazy.
Yeah.
My pain tolerance is insane. Like, my everyday, like, walk-around pain is out of this world. Wow. Yeah. Like I stand up every morning, it's like a rusty hinge.
And you're still out, but you're still out there. You're still training. You still got a demo
every day. Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, 6 days a week for 11 years. Doesn't mean you got a lot of rest.
Yeah. No, and I was in school for a bunch of those years. At one point, the peak of going to school, I was at the school building for about 35 hours a week. Because I carried a lot of credits. Because the GI Bill, you have to get done.
Yeah,
you got to get done, you know? Mm-hmm. So I carried a lot of credits, and I was still teaching at 7 a.m. and teaching in the evenings.
Damn.
So I ran myself, you know, that's when I started drinking energy drinks, honestly. You know, like, shit, if I don't have some caffeine in my body, I'll die.
That's my wife.
Yeah, that's mine. I'll die. And I don't sleep great either. So,
so I'm up.
Yeah.
I'm up. We're making it happen. Fuck it.
But, yeah, I mean, that's how I keep going.
So now you just recently moved back to Virginia. Is that a result of your son moving again?
No, my son's in. Well, I mean, he went to South Carolina, so it was closer.
Okay.
You know, my girl's from Virginia. I never lived in Virginia before. I went there to train with this Muay Thai guy, and I just wanted to make a change. We thought about it a lot. We talked about it a lot. You know, my girl misses. She was here for 17 years.
This is her family.
Her friends. You know, they're like her friends were. You know, like her friend group was what she had here for 17 years.
Yeah.
You know, so she just came back while I was here because I'm here for a month. She just came back, and now it's like, you know, she's back in Virginia now, and she's fucking miserable. You know, but our quality of life is higher.
Of course.
Our quality of life is higher. We're in Virginia Beach. I got a gig teaching at a gym there. You know, eventually I think, I want to have my own gym.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's next?
Eventually I want to have my own gym. Right now, the first thing we're going to do is probably open an acupuncture clinic.
Okay.
You know, so that'll be first order of business. But ultimately, I'd like to, I had a gym. And I never got to, like, I want to get back to teaching, like, kids' classes.
Okay.
You know, like, just kind of teaching everybody. You know, and there I see it as being feasible, where here I did not see it as being feasible. The market here is just too saturated, and also the prices are just too high. Like, per square foot and this. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, I know.
I could have done it.
But it would have been a larger strain.
But also that meant me leaving the arena and going and doing my own thing. And I was so entrenched at the arena that I don't think I ever would have done it.
Got it.
I would have stayed there forever.
Yeah.
Because even as soon as I left, I started worrying that things were going to get bad. Yeah. You know, because I poured so much energy into it.
Your baby.
Yeah, I poured so much energy into that gym and into that fight team and making our name good that it holds value to me.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think I ever would have left.
Okay.
And that's what I had to tell myself. I was like, listen, I was making good money. I was teaching classes. Yeah. The owner of the gym looked out for me. I was working in the office. You know, like I just never would have left. I was comfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, so we sold, you know, my girl had a 1-bedroom condo here. We sold that, and for like $100,000 less, we bought a house.
Yeah.
Than what we sold the condo for.
Now you got garage and backyard.
Yeah, so in that sense, our quality of life is far superior.
Got it.
You know, there's certain things I miss about being here, obviously, but now I'm here and it feels alien to me. Because I don't feel like I fit in.
All right.
Like I'd never really fit in. I joined the Navy and it's just, you're transient.
Yeah,
you know, for the rest of your time.
You get used to
you get used to people, and then they're gone, and you're like, all right, new people. All right, you know, like change command. All right, cool. And anyone that's been in the military, it's like, yeah, people leave. You know, that's how it works. You know, like it's just how it works. You know, so
get a phone number.
Yeah, like
that's
all right, you got social media, bro. Like their stupid post, and that's it. You're good. You're friends still somehow. You know, but like when I left, I was like, all right, well, I have to settle in. This is where I'm at. This is, you know, where's my stuff? My stuff's right here. All right, bet I'm good. You know, and then a few months later, I'm back. You know, so, I just did Liz's full camp in Virginia Beach.
Yeah, she came out and saw you, huh?
Yeah, she did her full camp with me in Virginia Beach. I was teaching, you know, I'm teaching there. I went up to New York a couple times. I drove home. Like I drove back to I left the East Coast in 1998.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've been back living on the East Coast. So technically, I've lived more of my life on the West Coast than on the East Coast.
And you're from the East Coast.
Yeah. So I left home at 19, and I moved back to the East Coast at 44. Yeah, so most of my life between Washington and San Diego, I lived most of my life on the West Coast. So I got a buddy of mine was teaching a seminar in Manhattan, and I got in my car at 4 in the morning, and I just drove, and next thing I knew, I was in Manhattan. And the shit blew my mind apart.
I bet.
Like, I parked the car, and I was like, it's always been like a plane ride, and then go to my mother's house, and then, I literally, like, my car was here, and I was in New York. Like, that shit blew my mind. So I've been to New York a couple of times. We went up for Christmas, brought, my wife and the dogs, went to Rockefeller Center. So, like, that stuff, like, the Padres were playing the Phillies. And my girl was like, damn, the Padres are in the playoffs, and we're not even in San Diego. I guess we're going to Philly.
Guess we're going to Philly.
Got into a car, drove to Philly, got a cheesesteak, came back. Watched a baseball game, got a cheesesteak, came back.
Dope.
So my girl's family lives, like a couple hours away from us. So that the little things like that, the intangibles like that, like, her nephew's 6 years old, and now we were at, like, his soccer game.
You're just getting to
like,
do
you
some
just
of
get those
life experiences.
Yeah, those little intangibles are going to be, they're going to outweigh the stress of leaving.
Got it.
But, nothing's easy, Still a little, still have to, the grass is greener, but you still got to water it.
Yeah, true.
True.
So Virginia, did you have a job there before you left, or did you acquire that once you got there? Same as you've been doing it?
Acquired it once I got there. They offered me a job. I mean, just like everything else in my life, things got to be a little fucked up before I can make them right. So they offered me a job at the UFC gym. And, there was a couple, like, I contacted every gym.
So the trip with Anthony, they offered you a job in Nevada?
No, not at the UFC gym.
The UFC gym. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so they offered me a job there. I hit up every gym there.
Okay.
I was like, hey, I'm moving into town. If you guys are looking for a coach. But I understand that most of those gyms are pretty small.
Yeah.
And you look at my social media,
They're like, this guy's a star.
Like, oh, well, this guy's coming to take my job.
He wants big
money
too.
If you're the coach at one of those gyms and I show up, then it's like, well, basically you're giving me your job, which is not fair. I wouldn't do that.
True.
I wouldn't bring another coach to my gym that's fucking better than me.
Yeah,
sure. And not that I'm better than them, but like I'm gonna command a following. And I was also strategic about it. Like, I followed
a few of them
gyms in Virginia Beach. I followed who their fighters were. Like, I was strategic with my so by the time I got there, people were already following me on social media.
Got it.
So they were seeing my videos. I did it the guy at the UFC gym hit me up, and we spoke, and he was like, yeah, we got a place for you here, man. You have private lessons. We got a bunch of people that need privates. Give you some classes. I was like, all right. I got there. That place closed down in a month. A month after I arrived. I was like, all right. Bet. Cool.
Next.
And then I just found this other gig, like, I knew still that Liz was coming. Mm-hmm. So I had to, I went to every gym. I met people. I spoke to people. I got the right place, the right pawns in the right place. Mm-hmm. I put all the pieces in the right place, and then she called me, and she was like, hey, how are things over there? I'd been there, like, a few weeks. I was like, pretty good, figuring it out. I was like, well, how you doing? She was like, good. She's like, so I'll be there in 2 weeks. I was like,
okay.
All right. And then I did the math. I was like, oh, so that's like 8.5 weeks from the fight, right? She was like, yeah. Like, oh, so we're doing the whole camp here. Okay. I kind of thought she had already told me.
Come out and chill,
she had already told me that she was coming. But I thought she was going to come for a few weeks just to have the comfort of me being there.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. She did her whole entire camp there. So, I was like, okay. I went to a jiu-jitsu place, and I Bobby's old coach.
Yeah.
I went and met him. I was like, listen, I'm bringing Liz. And, he was like, oh, I got some bodies.
Cool.
And then I met a couple wrestlers, and, like, at the gym that I was teaching, I'd see a kid. I'm like, this kid's a wrestler. I'm like, come here, man. What do you weigh? He's like, 150. I go, you got other wrestlers your size? He's like, yeah, a bunch. I was like, here's what I need. I need you guys to help me. And they were, of course, like, yeah, fuck, that's cool.
Yeah.
They're like, Liz Carmouche, like the Bellator champion? Sure.
Yeah,
sure. Like, and then once they looked her up, and, like, it's hard to not like Liz.
Of course.
And then she got there, first day she got there, she literally, like, got an Airbnb, drove her truck across the country, showed up, and was like, all right, I'm here. Where are we training? And I was like, all right, we're going to go here for jiu-jitsu. I introduced her to people. I was like, we're going to be here at this time. And I just built the camp around her. But she doesn't need that much. She needs bodies to work with, and she needs me to tell her that we're going to be all right. And a little bit of strategy on pads, because I hold pads for her a lot. So a little bit of strategy on pads, some situational drills. She doesn't spar that much. I took her a couple places to spar. She got a couple days of sparring in, but she doesn't really spar that much anymore. And I don't think she has to.
No, she knows what she's doing.
I think that, like, you hear, like, oh, Robbie Lawler stopped sparring, and this person stopped sparring. It's like, bitch, you think you're Robbie Lawler? You're like, like, you got 2 fights. Robbie Lawler has been fighting since the 90s.
Yeah, for real.
So of course he's got to stop sparring. He's fucking been head to head 10,000 times. But he knows that come fight day, he's going to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's already, it's like Shark Tanking someone. Mm-hmm. You Shark Tank new people, and then, to see if they'll break. Mm-hmm. But, like, Shark Tank them every single time. Like, they're not going to break now. Now you're just breaking them down.
Yeah, for
sure. Like, you want them to be successful. Mm-hmm. If they get used to just surviving, then they're like, all right, I can just hold on and survive. I'm not getting my ass kicked. No, I want you winning.
For sure.
I want you at the end of every practice being like...
Wrong mental state.
Yeah, like, no, I want you at the end of practice to be like, there's no fucking way I'm losing this fight. Like, even exhausted, you should be like... like, I'll always be... Like, before people's first fights, especially because, a lot of guys have gotten their first fight at Epic. Mm-hmm. We're sitting in that little room, and I'll always be like... we'll be sitting there, and I know that they're nervous. They're already warm. We're waiting for them to call our name, and I'll be like, I bet this motherfucker tries to punch you. And they'll look at me and be like, what? Like, I bet he tries to punch you and kick you and shit, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. They're like,
and they'll just look, and they'll start laughing. They'll start laughing, and I'll be like, yeah, because it's a fight. You have to fight them. It's a fist fight. I go, all that shit now doesn't matter anymore. No. It's just a fist fight. I go, and this person does not deserve to win more than you. They don't. Why do they deserve to win? So, like, usually you tell them that, and they laugh, and then they're like,
yeah, you're right.
All right, yeah, like, this person don't deserve it. Like, what the fuck have they done? I'm sure they got a story, too. I
don't care what they've done. We don't care.
But I've done that to a lot of people. I'll be like, damn, I bet this motherfucker tries to punch you. And they're like,
it just
what?
Breaks the ice.
Like, yeah, they're like, what? And then I'm like, he's going to probably try and punch you and kick you and shit.
Try to choke your
take
ass
you down,
out,
all kinds of shit. And then we all just laugh, and I'm like,
yeah,
you should just hit them more than they hit you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think
I feel like if you hit them more,
we'll win.
You'll be all right. Like, and then that's it. Like that's how we walk out there, and it's always like, all right, time to go to work. Like
it works.
And also, you don't have to do this. You get to do this. Like, you don't have. No one's forcing you. No, like, there's people back there fucking, like, bitch, go home. Like, like, go home. Why are you doing this? Like, I get it. It's nerves. And I understand that. Like, I trained I did these little mini camps at Team Quest years ago, and Randy Couture asked us a question. It always stuck with me. He goes, how many people here get nervous before competition? And we all raise our hands. He was like, not me. I get excited. He was like, what's the physiological difference in those things? Nothing. It's just one word is negative, one word is positive. Mm-hmm. He was like, rapid heart rate, dry mouth, butterflies in your stomach. He was like, your word, nervous. Means you don't want to do it. He's like, excited? He goes, I can't wait to get it on. It's just positive framing.
Correct.
It's just positive framing. It's positive self-talk. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a Lloyd Irvin, was a jiu-jitsu guy. He used to get his emails in, like, the early 2000s, and he would talk about positive self-talk, right? So he was like, all right, let's say, you get mounted, right? And you go, all right, fuck, mount. Guy's gonna start hitting me. He's gonna take my back. I'm gonna have to escape from the back. Like, you go through this, like, spiral
already
of, like,
before it even happen.
Like Randy Couture at that camp was like, watch this. He was like, don't think about a lemon, no matter what. Don't think about a lemon. Don't think about the smell. And he, like, started describing the lemon in great detail. He was like, is everybody thinking about a lemon? We're all like, yeah, of course, bro. And he goes, now don't think about losing. Don't think about getting taken down. Don't think about that area that you suck in. Like, oh, I hope he doesn't push me against the cage. Because if he does that, then I'm going to get stuck, and then I'm not going to be. He goes, that's where you're going to end up. Everything's going to lead to that path.
Yep.
And that's just framing. And this is the kind of stuff where I think I am good at talking to fighters, right? Because I cornered a guy one time whose first fight, he got held against the cage. And he lost the fight, boring ass decision. The guy just held him against the cage. His second fight, he came out, he threw a punch and backed himself up. And the person jumped on him and held him on the cage. The whole first round. It's 2 minutes. You know? I came to the stool. I was like, hey, man, you got to move your feet. I was like, you're standing still. And he just looked at me. He was like, it's the same as last fight. I was like, gave him water. I was like, just move your feet, man. We walked out. I looked at the other corner, and I was like, he already lost. Like, he already lost. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
He's going to think about the cage and think about the cage and think about the cage, and he's going to put himself against the cage. You know, so I like to always tell the guys, like, imagine worst-case scenario and put yourself there. Like, nobody in a grappling class, if you go, hey, man, do you mind starting in mount? No one's going to say no.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, no doubt. And then eventually nobody will be able to hold you in mount. You know, so if you put yourself in that bad spot over and over again, eventually you're like, then your self-talk becomes, a lot of better motherfuckers than this. I got out of mount with them. I've been here before. Yep. You know, so a lot, again, also guys' first fights, I'll always, because, you know, like usually Alex is there and, you know, like some of our older guys are there, and I'll be like, I bet your opponent's not as good as these motherfuckers. And then they'll look around and be like, oh, I go, you had your ass whooped by everybody in here. I bet he's not as good as that. And then they're like, oh,
you're right.
Like, you've had your ass whooped way worse than
now.
Like, you know, like,
now I'm excited to go into the
now
fight.
you're excited. You're like, you know,
nervous.
like, so that's all just positive framing. And I think that I wish I was better at that with myself, but I'm good at it with other people.
Good.
Because I'm very critical of myself, and I'm very hard on myself, and I wish I wasn't. But I am, you know, and I think it makes me good. No. It makes me better, you know? Like, I wish I could just be like, oh, you're doing a good job, dude. But I'm not. You know, I'm always like, damn, what if I fuck this up? What if this happens, right? And then I do the wrong thing. And then, like, I try and think through every possible outcome, and I make myself crazy. I make myself crazy where it's like, okay. Like, I've taught.
Then in the moment, none of that shit happens, and it's a breeze.
Obviously, it's going to be fine, man. You know, like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, I've never not been able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But every time I'm like, what if this is the one? What if this is the time that I can't figure it out? But I'm over-preparing myself. I have to put things in order, and I have to organize things, and I have to, because I don't like leaving things to chance.
Correct.
You know? So I think that's a positive cue. And I think you see that in a lot of good MMA coaches. I think, like, you look at Greg Jackson. Greg Jackson wasn't a high-level guy at anything, really.
No, yeah.
You know, I spoke to him one day. We were in a locker room together, and he had like a Jeet Kune Do background, and I trained a lot of different weird martial arts. I'm a fucking martial arts nerd.
Filipino, I heard too.
Yeah, I'm an instructor in Filipino martial arts. I'm an instructor in Jeet Kune Do. I train everything. We can do stick drills right now. We do knife drills. You know, I got a knife on me. You know, we do knife takeaways. You know, like all that stuff. I just always wanted to know everything.
Got it.
You know, like I wanted to know every possible scenario. How does this play out? Like, what is good from this? Let me extract what's good from this.
Got it.
But a lot of that is just, it puts you in weird places, you know? So your, like, perspective on martial arts changes. You know, and I think that has helped me. I think that's helped me, like, have a broader view of martial arts than just combat sports.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that helps.
As a coach, you've got to know. I mean, you're looked at as the knowledge base, right? Yeah. So you have to really go and acquire the knowledge. And
I'm still trying.
I'm still
trying to acquire the knowledge, man. I watch instructionals all the time, and that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but I watched an instructional today for no reason whatsoever. I just had 20 minutes, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna pop in an instructional in on my phone." Like, I don't know why I do that. It's like I watch instructionals on stuff that I teach just to see
if I'm missing
if I can hear a cool way of saying it. Like, what if they describe it in some cool way? And I'm like, oh.
It makes it a little bit more understandable.
Or it's gone from my memory. You know, I've been training a long time. You know, things come and go. Like, phases happen. They come and go.
Doing, yeah.
You know, and then I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I used to do that. Oh, weird. And then that's like back into my, the next class I teach, I'm going to base it around that. And then I'll just formulate a class around it. I'll be like, how do I turn this into a class? Just this idea.
But that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah. So like, I used to watch fights. I used to watch a lot of fights. I did a lot of film study, a lot of fights, and now it's like not fun anymore. Like, cause all I'm looking, like even like
you're not watching the fight
I'm not
anymore.
watching the
You're
fight.
looking
I'm not
at the
enjoying
techniques.
the fight. I'm looking at the setups. I'm looking at the patterns.
Yeah.
Like how is this gonna play out? Okay, so he bid on that.
You're so technical about it. Yeah.
Well, now he's like, I use DC and John Jones, right? Like when DC got head kicked by John Jones, that was like a second time they fought. It was all exciting. They hated each other, and all I could think was, fucking DC's gonna get head kicked. His hands are coming to the middle when John kicks him with linear stuff. Like John was throwing teeps down the middle and like side kicks and stuff. You could see that DC's hands were coming to the middle. And I was like, fuck, he's going to get head kicked. So it wasn't even exciting when it happened.
Because you're like, I told you.
Obviously, he's going to
get
So I think
we need to start running Coach Chuck's gambling line. We can start picking the odds.
Once the fight starts, maybe. If you let me gamble after the first round, I'll tell you the winner.
He's out there. So we are in Virginia now. And what is, you said you want to open your own gym. You want to go back to kind of teaching everyone. Does that mean you want to get away from the high level athletes and go back to just the basics and for the fun, maybe for the enjoyment of it?
Yeah, kind of. I want to be challenged.
Okay.
I want to like I already got a couple guys that I'm gonna get fights for in Virginia. I've been there 3 months, and I already have I got a couple guys fighting in February.
Oh man!
It's just the nature of the beast for me.
It's just
in me.
Yeah.
Like I taught the first seminar I taught there, and right away I was just looking around the room and I was like, "This guy's good. This guy's good." That's just how I am.
Yeah.
I'm like a fucking shark.
Yeah.
I'm just a shark. I just got to keep moving. I got to go on to the next thing. I got to find the next thing. But I don't always want to be that way.
Okay.
Right. And also I want to have my own thing because I want to do things my own way. I think that people would thrive in an organized. Like my coach was very organized.
Okay.
So I think like let's say you go to kickboxing every day, right? Let's say you just go and you train every day, right? And what do you know? There should be a way of quantifying what you know and what you've learned.
What I've learned, correct.
And that's why I curricumize everything. Like I have a curriculum written for everything. I don't teach, Roman numeral 1, A1. I don't teach that way. But I do refer back to those things and be like,
to make sure you touch
the
points.
I haven't really been doing a lot of footwork drills lately. Let me
step that up.
Let me take that. Let me go backwards here for a second because I always want to show cool shit, right? Because I teach a lot, So going to Virginia, I'm only teaching once a day right now.
Got it.
Like I've had multiple classes a day for a very long time. Like right now, I'm here to teach this, to teach this course that I'm here for 4 weeks, and I don't have classes at night. I haven't not had a night class to teach since 2007.
It's weird.
Yeah, I've steady had a night class to teach pretty much since 2007. So I get done teaching at the Navy base and I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? I don't have team practice at 4 and then 5:30 class. So I'm just trying to train. I'm just, I'm trying to train. I'm going to hold pads with some guys this week, but it's weird. It's weird. I'm so used to having a full schedule of teaching that now I'm only teaching one class there, and I'm like, okay. When I get back, I have to study for my acupuncture license because California is obviously a different license than fucking everywhere else in the country.
Of course.
So I got to take a national board, and I've been out of school for quite a while. So that's going to occupy all my free time once I get back because I do want to practice. Acupuncture's always been a side thing.
Really? It's a huge market.
Yeah, it is. And it's a big market there.
Yeah.
Here we were a little saturated.
Of course.
But there it will turn profitable. And you make good money doing acupuncture.
No, hell no, yeah.
But I have to teach first. I have to be teaching and then I'll find people that need acupuncture. I've always, someone in the gym is always hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
And then once you
get a little referral,
you get a little referral. It's just that added revenue stream I need to push.
Okay.
Right? And I need to push it also because my wife's an acupuncturist and we can be successful in a clinic. We can start a full wellness center. I had a clinic here.
Would you try and train that to fighters specifically?
Yeah. I do pain management. That's what I do. As far as acupuncture goes, I'm a pain management guy. So you can treat everything with acupuncture.
Yeah.
But that's not. I can't. I can't. Like, if you have, there's certain conditions I will tackle, but there's people who are experts at fertility.
Yeah.
I'll refer out. Just go to them. I'm a pain management guy because what got me to acupuncture was me being hurt.
Pain. Okay.
So that's what I like to do. So that's the patients that I see. And it's like a, chicken or the egg, right? Like, I only want to treat pain management. I only know people that are hurt. That's who I see. That's, and it works. And I have a built-in patient base. So that's when I get back, that's,
be the primary focus.
That's my primary focus. But Liz got another fight, she's going to sign another fight soon. So she'll be right back in Virginia.
You've had a ton of fighters. You've had Liz Carmouche. You trained Jesse Taylor, the Ultimate Fighter season 25 winner.
Yep.
You think it's going to be easy for you to let that part of things go because you are used to operating at such a high level?
I don't know. I guess I'll have to see how it plays out. I like development, right? So taking somebody new, I just took a guy to a smoker, like one of those PKB, one of those smokers, a military guy on the East Coast. He was like, hey man, I want to fight. Someone I knew there was coaching him, and they referred him to me, and I was like, well, let's go do this smoker. And again, this is my sickness. Is I'm sitting there watching everybody warm their people up, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I can make everybody better than these fucking people. That's my sickness. That's my ego. That's my ego. And I thought, if I had my own place, we would smash everybody in this place. I don't know why I'm like that. I just think that I've done it at a high level. I know how to make somebody good. Yeah. So like that, I know that I'm going to say, no, I don't want to work with fighters. I just want to teach people, but I got somebody fighting next month. Yeah. I always got somebody fighting next month, but it is going to be a step down. Yeah. It's going to be a step down in skill level, a step down in, but I don't care, man. I don't care. I don't think that I care. Maybe I do. And I don't need to be on TV. I don't need to be I don't want to be on Fight Pass all the time. Like, there's a lot of coaches, like Colin Oyama from LA has been a famous MMA coach since I was fucking 20 years old, I think. He was like Rampage's coach, Colin Oyama, and I still see him in locker rooms, and I'm so impressed. He's in his 50s. He's in locker rooms holding pads. I'm like, holy shit, how does he do it? So I don't know. I don't know if I could do that forever. But I will teach martial arts forever, so it's just a way to do that. And I like the idea of teaching kids. Yeah. I like the idea, not little-ass kids. Little-ass kids could be kind of a pain. But like a 10-year-old, 10 to 14, that age group there, you could make a difference there.
Very huge.
Very informative years. I eventually, as I used to teach a small kids class. Like, my coach had kids classes, and I used to teach a 4 to 6-year-old class, a 7 to 9-year-old class, and then like a 10 to 13-year-old class. And that 4 to 6-year-old class about 30 minutes. 25 minutes. For nothing. And it's just like, I would just beat them up. Beat them up at the end. I'll be like, all right, now I'm going to line you kids up and fight you. And I'll just throw a bunch of little kids on the floor, right? And then I'll be like, all right, now 2 at a time, I'm shoving them down. And their parents loved it because they'd be so tired afterwards, right? Yeah. And then the older kids, I'd be like, all right, any requests at the end of class? And they would always be like, dodgeball. I'd be like, word, start running.
Is that word?
Yeah, I'll be like, word, let's go, start running. And then eventually they'd be like, let's just train more. And I'd be like, all right, get the dodgeballs out. But like a 10 to 13-year-old, like, I can talk to them like an adult.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, when my kid
understand.
When my kid was little, I talked to him like an adult. Mm-hmm. I'd never, yo, listen, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? Here's why you're wrong. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
I never spanked my kid. I explained to him why he was wrong. And he hated it. But I saw martial arts make him better at everything else.
When did you get him involved in martial arts?
When he was 4.
When he was 4, and he still trains to this day?
He trained until he was like 12, 13. He competed in jiu-jitsu a few times. And then he was like, hey, I just want to play baseball. Okay. And I was like, all right, cool. And, you're done. If he comes back to it at some point, cool. My kid's 22 now, or 23.
Now, do you think that he ran from it because you're so heavily involved in it? Because I've seen that.
I just let it run its course. I never taught him.
Okay. You didn't instruct him at all?
I wasn't his coach. No, okay. I taught when we were in Texas. I taught him then, and I was too hard on him.
Got it.
But I never forced him. As soon as I started to see that there was any doubt that he wanted to go, I was like, hey, bro, we're only going if you want to go.
Got it.
So he enjoyed it. He liked the competitive nature of it, but he was good. Yeah. And he was good at most sports. I'm relatively athletic, even though I'm fucking old and can barely walk. But I was relatively athletic, so I was good at a lot of different sports. Mm-hmm. And he was good at everything he played. He played soccer. He was the best kid on the soccer team. He did martial arts. He was one of the best kids on the mat. And then baseball, he sucked at. And he just couldn't understand why he couldn't be good at baseball. He was like, I don't understand. Like, he told me, he was like 11 or something like that, and he was like, why am I not good at this? And I was like, yo, baseball's not like other things. Like, I was like, you're starting late at 10 years old in baseball. I already had 5 years on you. Yeah. You know, I had baseball swagger by the time I was 12. You know, like if you watch like high school kids, they play like men.
No, yeah, they do.
You know, like their mannerisms they're adults. You know, because baseball is so repetitive, and it teaches you to fail a lot. You know, like if you succeed 30% of the time in baseball, you're a damn all-star.
Yeah, true.
You know, so like you get like I think that helped me in martial arts, even though as much as I had a love-hate thing with baseball, because like my uncle was my baseball coach. So the first day that it wasn't freezing in New York, he'd be like, yo, what's up, man? Where's your glove at?
Let's go throw some balls.
Yeah, I'm going to go hit you the ball till you cry. You know, and then he hit me the ball till I cried, you know, until eventually, like, hey, I'm just chasing the ball, and he's like, hurry up. And he's like, let's just turn around. I'll hit it against the fence so you don't have to keep chasing it. You know, so, like, I had a love-hate thing with baseball.
Got it.
But my kid loved it because he wasn't just naturally good at it.
So he wanted to keep working.
Nobody's naturally good at this. So I got him, like, a batting tee and a net, and he would just sit out there and hit off the tee over and over again. Baseball's like a repetitive motion, like, you know, it's all muscle fine memory, motor skills and muscle memory. You know, so now he can train anytime he wants.
Does he play sports anything right now? No?
Just chilling, working.
Good.
Married.
Oh, he's married
23,
too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Living in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, he's an adult now. I just let him do his thing.
Yeah.
You know,
do you think about having any more kids?
I don't think so,
Done?
man. I'm
about to have one any day now.
I had a kid real early. If I had a kid now, it would be, like, my girl and I have talked about it. You know, it's like, it's tough at this age.
It is.
It's tough for me at this age because I had a kid real early.
Yeah, so you're
You know, so I was like a young dad.
Got it.
So I think I could do it. I think I'd be good at it. But I don't know. It's not something. My girl's also my age. She's 43.
Yeah.
You know, so
42.
You know, so we're right on the edge.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is like, if we were going to do it, it'd be now.
It could.
You know, maybe I haven't really, you know, I only think about like the next thing. But I do love kids. I love kids. I love dogs.
I love dogs.
I love kids. I love dogs. You know,
yeah.
I do love kids. I just don't know. I think that's another reason I want to teach kids.
Just kind of,
you know,
so you can interact, have that, but not have to take them home.
Yeah, you know, like, nice, you're cool, get out of here. But and I like the thought of having my own gym. I like because I get to do my own thing. I get to run things my own way. And I think you do positively affect people. And, you know, there's a net positive, even though there's a bunch of headache and a bunch of this and a bunch of that. It is ultimately a positive thing. It's a positive way to affect people. Yeah. And I have to, like, sometimes take a step back and be like, because I get mad just like everybody else. You know, like, I should be making a lot more money than I'm making. You know what I'm saying? I should be working at Lockheed. I'd be making a fuck ton of money. No, for sure. I'd have a job 15 years at Lockheed. Yeah. I'd be making, you know, but I don't care about money. Like, I just, like, now I do because I'm married and my wife, you know, like, we have to have money. Yeah, yeah, but I never cared about money. Like, once I got out of the Navy, I was like, well, I don't care, man. All I need is, you know, like, dinner tonight.
Dinner tonight?
You know, like, dinner tonight. I lived very, I don't know, you know, now I think about the future and stuff, but I lived very, like, hand to mouth for a long time. So that's still how I think sometimes, you know? Yeah. But, you know, I think, you know, with a gym, if I'm doing things the right way, it can be profitable. And it's replicatable. I could open multiple gyms. I could open a gym and have, like, the clinic attached. Intent to it, yeah. You know, like, you know, those things go together. You know,
pre and post workout.
You know, like, you can get into all this stuff. You can go deep into it, and I want to. But here I was so entrenched in the fight team that I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to do anything else.
Well, you were really good at that. So
I feel like I feel like I can look at this time and be like, yeah, that was a successful time.
And you just did a seminar with Alliance out there yesterday. Yep. You're doing training with the military. Yep. So have you ever thought about maybe doing, like, some consulting with, like, law enforcement or military?
Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah, I have this military combatives course that I've been teaching a long time, almost 10 years. And I think that there is a civilian sector for that. Mm-hmm. You know, that's something I would like to explore. but also, I'll somehow turn it into so I'll be getting people fights. So I'll be like, how did this happen?
The military's gonna like that very much.
How did this happen? Why is this guy? Why am I?
He can't deploy tomorrow because he's got to fight this weekend. We can send him out there.
That is something that I like. I don't know. I don't know. It's if I could teach martial arts, that's what I want to do. That's I'm gonna continue to teach martial arts somehow. So if that whatever capacity that comes towards me, I'll do it. And I'm like the yes man. I'm like, I'm down. Yeah, I'm down. When it comes to that. When it comes to everything else, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I only do the things that I want to do. That's like a known thing. Like I was out with my girl the other day, and one of her friends was like, Chuck just does whatever he wants, huh? And she was like, yeah, that's how he is. Like I don't want to do things because somebody else wants me to do them. But if it's something that like I see value in, I'm always down. I'm always down. Like, I'm there. Let's go. And I'm inherently lazy. I am. I'm inherently lazy. It's my nature to be lazy. I like fucking around. It's like my favorite thing to do. I like to sit down and fucking zone out, watch my stupid stories, watch my dumb shit on TV. Like, I'm inherently lazy. So, like, the only thing that I'm not lazy about, and I mean, not with my girl. Like, if she wants to do something, I'm in. And she always, like, when we first started dating, she would be like, well, you don't want to do that. But I don't want to do anything. That can't be the fucking... That can't be the measuring stick.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's like, you ever see the movie The Breakup?
Yes.
Where she's like, what? He's like, you want me to do the dishes? She goes, no, I want you to want to do the dishes. He's like, but nobody wants to do the dishes. Why would I want to do the dishes?
Why would I want to do this?
Like, no, I don't want to go to that. I will go. And I will have a good time.
Yeah, they'll do it.
But if you ask me, hey, do you want to do this?
No.
Nah, not really.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the nature of the beast, Like, some people are like, yeah, I want to go hang out with them. I'm like, well, who's going to be there?
I'm cool being at the house, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go.
My philosophy is I've always had my house as my sanctuary. Everything that I love and need is at home. So if I went broke or I didn't have any money, hey, I'm cool being at home.
As long as I can pay the rent, man, I'll chill.
Yeah,
I'll chill at home.
Good.
I just one of the, like, my girl loves to joke about it. My favorite room in the new house, we put a library. I had a storage unit just for books, basically. I had some other bullshit in there, but I paid for that storage unit because I didn't want to throw my books away.
Got it.
Right? And we had an extra room, and she was like, oh, we're going to put a library in here. And I was like, awesome. And then she finished it, and I was like, I can't believe it's a library. It's my favorite place. Right. I could just hang out in there.
That's tight.
And nobody could bother me. Like, I'm good at home. So I only have to make enough to pay the mortgage.
I hear that.
I can pay the mortgage, and we can go to Costco.
Okay, so we can go to Costco, we good.
Straight.
Yep.
I'm straight, I'm a
simple
simple creature, like, I'm not that bougie, like, I wear the same black shit every day. Black T-shirt, MMA shorts, black hoodie. Every single day. I wear a uniform every single day. I do laundry, it's all black T-shirts.
Well, this is his. We know what's his.
Yeah, you know where my shit is, right there. All the black T-shirts and shorts, that's my shit right there. So... But yeah, I mean, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I think I could be successful in anything.
I do too.
So I think that opening a gym in Virginia Beach, I will open a gym in Virginia Beach. It's just right now with having to come here for a month. I usually have to be here for all of January and all of August. Right? So I just moved. So best case scenario for me right now is I teach somewhere else. I make some money while I'm there. I'll do acupuncture, and then when it's time to be gone for a month, I'm gone for a month.
Got it.
Like right now, I got somebody covering my classes.
Okay.
If I had just opened a gym,
you wouldn't be able to do that.
I would come back to less students, because people are creatures of habit. They're creatures of comfort.
They want to see who
they want. Like, I like this guy, the way this guy talks, and the guy I have covering my classes is very, very good.
But he's not you.
But he's not me.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm sure it'll be fine. But if I was trying to run a full program,
really start,
and there is a little different than here. Like, when I think about a gym, I think about the arena. I think about victory. I think about, like...
They don't even have anything
the big
close
gyms.
to that,
Yeah, the big gyms. All the gyms there are, like, one storefront.
In a strip mall.
And they have, like...
2 bags.
A couple daytime classes, and then, like, 2 classes at night. Like, I think, all right, well, if I open my own place, I might have to teach probably 7 classes, 8 classes a day. But nobody there has that. So if I taught 4 classes a day, I'm ahead of everybody. I'm ahead of everybody. So once I got there and I saw the lay of the land, I started looking at schedules, I was like, oh, wait a second. I could do this on my own, because I'm thinking, I'm gonna need a front desk person. I'm gonna need this and that. All of that starts to freeze me.
Yeah, of course.
It's like paralysis by analysis a little bit. So I start to be like, okay, so I need this much and that. I need mats, 2 heavy bags,
and some walls.
I got I'll get focus mitts and Thai pads. I
The
don't
rest
even
of
need
it
that
happens
shit.
on its own.
Gloves,
Yeah.
yo, go buy gloves, stupid. You know, like that's all I need. You know, like I can teach.
Yep.
You know, so for me, like that's my ultimate goal. Right now, I'm comfortable where I'm at because it's brand new. It's a brand new spot. It's owned by a former military guy, former SEAL, and he just hit me up. I just happened to know him, and he hit me up. Was like, hey man, I want to put some classes at this. You know, he has a supplement line. So he had built a gym on the back of the supplement, like where
the manufacturing.
Like, yeah. So it was just a gym back there. He was like, I built this because I was fighting, and I want to open it up to people. So right now I'm teaching, and it's free.
Awesome.
Like it's free. It's everyone. Like people are like, hey man, I want to come train with you. How much does it cost? I'm like, just come in, dude.
What's the name of the place?
Violent Hippie.
Violent Hippie.
Yeah, Violent Hippie.
Can't miss that one.
Yeah, Chesapeake, Virginia. Yeah.
Violent Hippie in Chesapeake, Virginia. Check it out if you guys are over there.
So that's I love that situation right now.
Okay.
It's a good vibe. Everybody's brand new. You know, so like I want to start something from the beginning.
From scratch.
You know, like, and that's how I feel like it is right now. That, like, opening my own place is down the line because I have to be gone. Mm. But like that's like everybody there is new, so you get to build the culture from the beginning. Not like you come in and you're like, damn, this guy's an asshole.
Adapt to it, yeah.
This guy's a dickhead, and this guy's trying to sleep with that girl. Like that, all that gym shit. It's yucky. Yeah. Like it's disgusting sometimes gyms. So it's like I want like, yo, that's not how we do things here. Like this is how it is here. Like, oh, okay, we could establish that right from jump. Mm-hmm. This is how it is here. If you don't like that, go somewhere else. Got it. You know, and I think that's the best way. That's the best way for me anyway. Yeah. Because I'm not like I've gotten nicer in my old age, but I'm not. I don't have the ability to be like, oh, okay. I'll be like, yo, fuck out.
No, I think,
yeah, get the fuck out.
I think the most successful gyms are like that, though. Yeah. You know,
you're not gonna.
Pepper Brooks said it best when he was here. He said, "You come to my gym and you think you're vetting me, but I'm vetting you."
Yeah.
Like,
yo, listen, man, leave.
You don't work for me.
Yeah,
like, I don't need the money.
Yeah. Like if I'm not gonna let you, and especially like I love Liz. We've been friends a long time. You can't let somebody kill your vibe, man. You can't let You can't let like that rotten apple come in, have some friction with this person, and then do this, and then you're like, you got to talk to him. Like, yo, just get out.
I don't want to do that.
Your $150 a month is not keeping this place open.
Nope.
And if it was, then I should think of something else.
I gotta think of something
else.
Not
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I remember I was teaching a class at the arena one day, and there was a woman in the class. She was in the Navy, and like I go, all right, we're gonna start with footwork, and she goes, that's all I need.
You're done.
I was right here. I was like, what the fuck does that sound mean? And she was like, we did footwork yesterday. I was like, all right, let's see it. Terrible. Worst shit I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, go ahead, do all the footwork that you learned yesterday. Terrible. Worst shit I've ever seen. I go, you have to do footwork every day for the rest of your life. You want to be good at it. And she was like, and then I just, from that moment forward, I was brutal to her. And she like got mad. And she was like, well, I'm going to talk to the manager. I was like, go ahead, talk to the manager. They're going to kick you out of this place. I go, who do you think they're going to choose, you over me?
Yeah, for real.
Like, I've been here 10 years. They're going to choose you over me? I was like, you be, whoop, gone.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. It was going to be me or you. It's going to be you. You're going to go. Sorry. Yeah. You know, they ain't going to fire me.
You just money. Yeah.
You know?
I'm bringing in the money.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's like that vibe, getting that vibe right from the beginning, it's so important.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, and being able to control that. And be like, no, we don't do things like that here. You know, because I've seen bad. You know, I've seen where you're in the same gym, but there's different teams.
Yeah.
Different sects. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like this group doesn't mess with that group really. And this guy tries to sleep with all the women. And then this guy, like, yo, like, whoa, no. It's like,
we're here to work.
It's too much. Yo, get out. Go away. Like, if this is the only way, like, being in this gym is the only way that you can get laid, then you're a fucking nerd. You know, you don't deserve to get laid anyway. Yeah. You know, like, you're a nerd. Like, this is the only, like, skill that you have is, like, I'm a fighter, so you should sleep with me. Like, you're a dork, right? Fuck out of here. Like, you know, like, you can't get laid now. You know, I don't know how, like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, like, it's the easiest time in the history of mankind to get laid. Like, you can't get laid.
For real.
You know, like,
17,000
you can literally just have your phone and girls will just come to you. I'm in a 5-mile
radius.
And you got to shit where you eat. Like, no, that's like that vibe. That's what I want to, like, I want to create that, like, yo, we're here to train martial arts. Yeah. And everybody's going to come up together. You know, like, because I like that, like, you can have someone that comes in that's not, like, somebody has to get stuck with the new guy or the new girl. And that first interaction could be the reason that they stay or the reason that they leave.
For sure.
And I wasn't good at that when I was young. You know, like I had to get older to understand that because when I was young, I just cared about my training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't care. Get the fuck out of here. You know, you suck. I don't want to deal with you. But that person, you never know what that person's going through. This might be the most positive thing in their life.
They have going, yeah.
You know, like, and if you could just be like, yo, not bad.
That might
like,
make
yo,
it's
all right.
Day.
Everybody sucks at first. I always tell people, like, I've always said this, I go, listen, everybody sucked. Like, I just barely stopped sucking. Like, everybody sucked at first, and everybody sucked for a long time. And if you start thinking, like, I got this shit figured out, somebody else will show you that you still suck.
You really,
right? Like, unless you're the best in the whole world, somebody else can humble you relatively quickly in every single sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, there a handful of people that are the best at the sport?
Yeah.
And you know what? They still get old. You
And
know, they still get old, and they get beat, and they get diminished, and they get, you know, so, like, that next generation, like, how you treat that person might be the deciding factor between them going home and being like, man, life is all right, or them going home and killing themselves.
True.
So, and that seems extreme for what we're doing, but it's not, because that's an interaction you have with someone just every single day. True.
It's true. And you know, more people need to take time to interact with others that way.
Yeah,
I think that's what the martial arts. We were talking earlier about how a lot of that's not what fighting in martial arts is. That's what martial arts is.
Yeah.
Martial arts is learning to meet people on their level, and not trying to, you know.
I listen, man. I don't care your race, your creed, your religious background. Are you a good training partner? If you're a good training partner, you're all right with me. That's all I need to know. Like, I don't care what your political views are. Don't give a shit. Don't even talk about it. Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I can't even talk to you about it. I have no idea. People are like, did you see this? I'll be like, nah, I don't know what's going on in the world. Like, I only know what's happening in my little circle right here. You know, like, I can only help these people that are within arm's reach of me. You know, but if everybody does that, we'd be all right.
We would.
You know, we'd be all right. You
Simple
know, like,
plan.
If you're just a good training partner, then you're all right. You'll be okay. Like, you might be a fucking moron. But if you could do this simple drill right, you're going to be okay with me. You know? Like,
at least for this next hour.
And then eventually, you know, like, someone else is not going to get it. And you're going to be like, damn, this person doesn't get it. They're stupid. And you're going to forget that you didn't get it. Yeah. Like, you know, and that's what I always try and remind people. Like, I've seen people get frustrated with having, I snapped on some guy in Virginia, like the third class I taught. I have such bad, like, he wanted to trade partners because he had trained before. And the person that was his partner was new. And I was like, all right, here's the next drill. There's only a few people in the class. And he goes, can we trade partners? And I was like, nah, and you're fucking rude.
Yeah, I'm like, come
on.
It
was like an awkward moment where everybody in the room was like,
uh-oh.
I was like, you're fucking rude. I was like, you're lucky. I was like, I'm just going to keep going.
I'm
just going to keep going and teach class. And I never saw him again. And that's okay because he was fucking rude.
Yeah.
You know, and you made this other person feel like shit.
Yeah.
And now that person is still training. You know, I literally put it in my mind. I was like, I got to make sure this person keeps training.
Yeah, got it.
You know, but you fuck that person's day up, man. They know they don't know it. They know they're messing up.
Yeah, for real.
You know, like they know. So
and
if
you're not fucking, you ain't no professional.
You suck.
Yeah, you ain't no professional out here to be needing them to get it right.
And I told him that. I was like, you doing the fucking drill wrong. Like, you mad somebody else doing the fucking drill wrong? You're doing it wrong. He was like, and then it just gets awkward. I'm like, all right, here's what we're doing next. You know, because I don't give a shit. It's not awkward for me. You know, I feel fine. Yeah. But being more inclusive in martial arts should be an ability for a weaker person to feel strong. Correct. A strong person always feels strong.
Exactly.
Unless somebody else shows them that they're not that strong. And sometimes that's what martial arts is. Mm-hmm. Is humbling.
Humbling.
You know, I've seen a lot of people come in that were tough.
Yeah.
You know, they're tough. You could see it. They're tough. They, you know, like, man, I've been in fights. I've been in this and that. And I'll be like, well, you see that nerd right there? He's going to beat the shit out of you today, boy. You get your ass whooped by someone who's not a tough guy today.
Not even think about tough. And he ain't going to be tough afterwards either.
He's going to be like, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah,
he's going to walk off and go.
Good roll, bro.
And that's like, I was talking to somebody that was teaching one day, and they were frustrated. Like, fucking new person. Da, 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 da. I go, how long have they been training? It was like their third class. I go, how the fuck are they going to be good? Why would they be good? They've never done it before. I go, what if that person's a lawyer? They were like, I was like, you good at law?
Yeah.
You suck at law, right? Well, he's at your job. You know, his job, he's probably pretty good at. And you don't know anything about that, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think more people, if you take that perspective, you're like, okay, if I can take a square peg and somehow fit it into this, like, you know, this thing.
Round hole.
You know, this round hole that we're all in, you know, like, You show me a guy, like, yeah, this guy wrestled in college and this. Now, of course I can make him good. You know.
Not that hard.
It's not that hard. He's already good.
Yeah.
You know, but you take someone that's not athletic, that doesn't get it, and then all of a sudden they're helping someone else in class, and that's success.
Yeah.
As an instructor, that's success to me. A lot of these guys just want to glom on to whoever the next big, like,
big name
look what I did. Like, I made this fight. No, you didn't. I didn't make Liz. And I've cornered her 7 times or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't make Liz. Liz was already good.
And it's funny because we listening to you, you always go back to that. But Liz Carmouche came to Virginia to train with you. Again, she could have went with anybody. So
yeah, I mean, you do got to give yourself.
It
speaks
some credit.
highly of her confidence in me. Yeah, but for me, I want. It's like that teach a man to fish thing. I want that if I remove myself from the situation and I can see it now. Like, I went to team practice the first day I was back at the arena. I just showed up, sat down on the side, Vince was running practice, and I felt weird. Nobody else felt weird. I felt weird. Because I was like, oh, wait, now I'm, like, infringing on them.
Oh.
Because they've had to figure out how to do it without me.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, there's things written on the board, and I'm like, oh, I used to write things on the board. And then I'm like, you know what? I got to get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Like, I'm going to go back this week. I'm going to hold pads for people. But I'm like, however you guys are doing it.
That's how we're doing it.
That's how we're doing it.
Got it.
Because if not, I have the tendency of taking over.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to be like, that's not. Oh, shit.
He's like, I got to go.
Well, all right, that guy's not doing it right. But okay. All right, so I had to just pull back a little bit and be like, you know what? They're fine. They don't need me. Even though they've all, like, can I hit pads? Can you help me with I will.
Yeah, they're happy to see you back.
But I have to, like, remove myself a little bit because everyone has to find their own little path.
Understood.
And I think that I have the tendency of, like, leading people, trying to lead them and be like, you got to think about it this way. But you know what? Like, that's up to you now. And you can see it because they're doing it for each other.
Got it.
So that, for me, again, that feels successful because I didn't leave such a void that they didn't know how to fill it.
Got it.
They were right away. We're in. We know exactly what to do.
You left enough on the table for them to be able to continue.
You gave them the ability to continue.
Correct.
And that, like I said, James teaches the 7 a.m. Muay Thai class, still full. Yeah. It's still a good class. It was good. At first I was like, damn, I don't want my class to die. I don't want my class to not have people in it. I worked hard to get that class full. But, luckily James is there. They all know James, that he's...
Well, you've built the name up, and the name will continue to hold its weight, right? As long as there's someone there that is of like-minded skill, the name will hold. Yeah. When that stops happening, then, of course, it's inevitable. But
and that's the nature of the beast. I mean, how many super gyms are still around?
Only a few.
They fall apart, man. Like, it's sometimes, especially when you get, like, a gym with a lot of people in the UFC, or because everyone's ego starts to be like, well, why is he getting help, but I'm not getting help? Like, we had a couple guys that were in the UFC come in and train with the fight team quite a few different times. And we were like, all right, here's what we're doing. Jump in. You're doing the same drills everybody else is doing. And I know that it made them uncomfortable. They were like, doesn't matter to me. That's what we're doing.
You're in the UFC,
that's what we're doing. I don't give a shit, Yeah. So that's me trying to, like, be fair.
Got it.
It should be fair.
No, it does.
You have to earn your way around here, just like everybody else did, And I think that, I think that that's the nature of martial arts, I don't agree with somebody giving some new person shit if they're not doing it. Like, if you're late, how you gonna give a new person shit about being late? You can't do it.
Can't do it.
Like, if I'm late, I'm not going. I will not go to class. I will sit on the side. You want to jump in? Nope. Late. I will not jump in. So, like, I'm not going to give somebody shit. When I was in the Navy, when you're at, like, some meeting about something and somebody's falling asleep.
Oh, yeah.
And people are waking them up. I never fell asleep because I'm going to wake your ass up. And if I fall asleep, I can't wake you up.
True that.
So I would sit up and be like, I wish one of you motherfuckers would fall asleep. Because I was mean when I was in the Navy. Like, I was a monster. So I was like, I wish one of these motherfuckers would fall asleep. Because if I have to suffer, you all have to suffer. Like,
no, for sure that. I heard that.
And that's just how it is, man. It's the team,
though.
So, if we're all trying to bring each other up.
Mm-hmm.
So if one person's not trying to bring us up and one person's like, man, I don't know, get out.
Yeah, because guaranteed when the shit hits the fan, you're going to be the person that it falls on.
Yeah, you're an energy vampire, man. You're sucking the energy out of the room, you know?
I heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, man, look, I know we've had you for quite a while. I don't want to hold you too long. I know your time is precious. You're out here in San Diego and on limited time.
I ain't doing shit.
Is there anybody you want to give shots out to? Anybody you want to give some props out to before you go?
Nah, fuck them people. Fuck them people. Nah, I mean, just, everybody at the arena knows how I feel about them, Yeah. Like, that's still my home gym. That's where I'm at right now.
I have a feeling you'll always be attached to them somehow or another. It's your San Diego home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always, I'm not going anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, people come and go. Like, you know how many people have coached at 3 different gyms while I've been at the arena? I've watched the community.
Yeah.
People go here, they go there, they go here. Not me. I was there the whole time. Me and Vince. Like, while other coaches came in and left, like, no. We've been here the whole time. So that's again, another point of pride for me is, like, somebody else offered me a job teaching at their gym while I was here. And I was like, nah. We'll pay, what are you making? We'll pay you. I was like, nope. That's not how it works.
It's loyalty.
So they looked out for me. They didn't have to look out for me. I was nobody.
True.
And I ended up, my work proved itself. But when I left Victory, they didn't have to give me a job. They could have been like, you could train here if you want.
True.
And they gave me a job. And sure, part of that was to spite Victory, I'm sure. Because they're the direct competitor.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fighters, a lot of the younger fighters left and came, followed me. And, so sure, there was some strategy there. But the owner of the gym didn't have to do anything for me. And he did. So I'll forever be grateful for that. Like, I didn't come here San Diego like some big coach.
No.
I came from a tiny gym in Washington. And then I made my bones here. And now I feel like if I go anywhere else, I've made my bones. I established myself. I've cornered in multiple countries. I've cornered in the biggest shows in the world. We've won some, we've lost some. But I was there.
That's right.
I was at the dance. I was at the dance. So unless you've been at the dance,
I don't want to
tell me shit.
Correct.
So that, and for that, I'll always be thankful to San Diego and to the arena for that.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Obviously,
and Epic actually, and Epic also. Because Epic was a building block for all those guys.
Epic has been a huge building block for San Diego amateur MMA, period. A big shout out to Epic, Harvey, and those guys for giving guys an opportunity to be able to even enter the industry. Yeah.
As much as I've had some friction there a couple times, but
of course.
But without them, I don't want to drive up to LA every freaking 2 months.
I heard that.
The only time I go out of San Diego for an amateur fight is because someone's already a champion.
I heard that.
There's no reason we have a show here. Let's develop our guys here.
Yep, and San Diego is a very unique place. We have a lot of talent here. If you guys aren't familiar with the martial arts community here, it is huge. You can come out here and pretty much find the best of the best in any discipline that you want. And this man right here is one of those people. He's out in Virginia now, but I'm sure if you contact him, he might be able to make something work. He's been to Bahrain, going to Serbia. He's been all over the place. So if you contact him, I'm pretty sure he will help you develop what you need to get done. Man, Coach, appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you having me, man.
You guys, again, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. This has been episode 10 of the Luxury and Mayhem podcast. We will see you on the next one. We out.